Uh, they done gonna draft me, folks. It's over. It's over. It's over. Hurry up. Shut up, Nathan. Hey, I'll have you know. I try to keep my starting soon screen to under 3 minutes, okay? To about 3 minutes or under, okay? Other streamers have their starting soon screen be like fucking 30 minutes, bro. Okay. What's up? Hello? Incredible. Incredible.
1 second.
Bro, hold on. Let me set this up.
Hello?
What's up?
Is this non-fan?
Is that Isaac? What the fuck? What's up?
Is this non-fan? Yo! No. This would never be Isaac.
Right, right.
Wait, which one is it? Should it be? Should be this one, right?
No, this one.
This one?
Mhm.
Alright, now talk non-fun.
What's up?
Yo! Oh my god, what's up, man?
Not much.
Bro, I'm gonna CJC soon. We gotta.
Yeah, I know. Aren't you? It's like this week or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 22nd. Alright, goodbye.
Okay, is that all you? That's all you had? You just wanted to join on a different
Yeah,
account,
I don't think I should
and
sit here and talk for too long about the Iranian or Mandami. Okay,
Dude.
never mind, I got
No,
time.
you want to do it like you want.
Yes, I do not want to hear through a speaker. 1 second, let me actually get it set up and then I can talk about something. Okay.
Okay.
Then headset is switched.
Yeah, and then
Talk, non-fan.
What's up? Are you gonna?
I think-
You're gonna continually call me non-fan? All right.
make sure this. Oh wait, this, that, and then do. Oh, it is connected. Why can't you hear him? Oh, 'cause
Bro.
That's real tech.
Non-fan?
What's up?
Oh my god, it's non-fun! Yo,
Whoa.
let me.
Whoa.
Yo, okay. Something just made a sound and I don't know what it was. What do you think about, can you explain this to me? Because I've been following this, because obviously I've been not that political. Why does it look like Como is just gonna win?
I don't know, dude. I saw the like poly market thing. My understanding, it looked like the Zorhan Mandami. I always forget how to pronounce his name. Oh, you bought a fucking yacht patrol W. I close tomorrow and pick it up Friday. Okay, W. But it looked like there was like one poll that came out where he was ahead of Cuomo. And I saw his chances in the poly market like election prediction thing go like it's up to like 40%. And then I saw apparently the New York Times wrote like an editorial thing like condemning him. They chose not to I think they chose not to endorse anybody, but they said not to vote for Sauron. And I was like, there's no way that has that big of an effect, but maybe it does. I don't know.
I saw it was like it was like some leftist party in New York, and they said the 5 you should rank were all like 5 that weren't even in the race, and it was like, well, like they are, but they're not like it's gonna be
Oh,
Mamdani or
was
it's
it
gonna be
the?
Cuomo.
Yeah, was it the? I think you're thinking of the New York New Liberal people.
Yes, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, if you aren't encapsulating the leftist, like, it's crazy.
I know, like it is. As much as I am a new liberal, okay, and I love my new liberal allies,
establishment.
okay,
Yeah.
Who the
but
hell
like
is
it very
Asian
much.
eat bean?
I'm at a
That's just
friend's, okay, I
Isaac
swear
on
I'm
it,
not,
yeah.
I'm not appropriating, I swear.
Uh-huh.
But like that, like, it very much like is the same thing. It's like when liberals told leftists correctly that like either Kamala or Trump is gonna be president.
What do
Vote
you
for
mean,
fucking.
Kamala?
Don't vote for Jill Stein,
Kamala's
okay?
speaking now.
I know, yeah, but it's like either it is gonna be Cuomo or Zorhan, and you should probably vote for whichever one you think is less bad. Yeah, which I don't even have a super strong opinion on. I think I'd
Who
probably.
did Kat Abu Ghazala tell you to vote for, non-fun?
That's true. I think she did endorse. She probably did endorse Zorhan, honestly. But I'll
Why
vote
wouldn't
for
I mean?
whoever.
Yeah, that makes
Oh,
sense.
hold on. Have you seen his fucking wife though? His wife, Zorhan's wife, is fucking hot as
Oh
shit,
my
bro.
god.
What the hell?
Oh my god, I'm so excited, dude. I'm so excited.
Got my goats.
Oh, yeah, I
Isn't
am
that the
so
dude who
excited
murdered all
for
the
this. This is
grandmas
gonna be
during
great.
COVID? Yeah,
Mama
Patrol.
Duanchi, Zoran Mandan.
I don't know. Like,
Whoa.
I haven't looked into that. Story a
Whoa,
ton,
what the
so
hell?
What's even worse is like
maybe
you
there's a
want
little bit
someone
more
to,
nuance
like,
to it.
We want to
but-
like work on like coalition building. I think is something that we should probably hit on a lot. And it's like, why is like he's doing like some actually great coalition building? Like I think I've seen like
Yeah.
3 different people cross endorse him, and it's like, how is this? I don't understand. I don't think. Don't we
Yeah,
learn it's the
non-fun.
24th,
You were
You
right.
hate him. Hate is a
Full
strong
endorsement
word.
for Zoran Mamdani's wife. I mean, Zoran
True.
Mamdani.
I would vote. Yeah, I wouldn't vote for him. I'd vote for his wife. I'm gonna write
True.
in his wife.
Right, and his wife, yeah.
It's a 24th.
I don't even know her name. I would just write Zoran Mondami's wife.
Chat.
So, non-fun, how was your vacation? I don't mean to derail. How was your vacation?
I've been back for a little bit now. I've just been lazy, but it was good.
I know. I don't know if I
Yeah,
talked to you, though.
I know.
Did you
I
do other
posted
things
about
than
it.
read books?
He made a lot of bangers on Twitter. I'll say
Kinda.
it was the one time I thought he was funny. Okay,
That is true.
There was some bangers. Okay.
Oh.
Which, by the way, chat, okay, Instagram plug, okay, because I uploaded to Instagram for the first time in a year about the vacation.
Oh my god, there's a non-fun
So
Instagram.
if you're not following the
Official
non-fun
non-fun
Instagram, people,
Instagram?
if you're not
I
following
definitely
the
just
official,
typed Nofnon into Twitter. That won't work. Okay.
the official non-fun 420 Instagram.
Oh, also, Twitch finally removed my phone number from like my old Twitch account, so I can finally
you
do
can
the
just do it
shared
now?
chat thing. Finally, yes. Once I start streaming again. What's the funny one?
Oh, what, on Twitter? I posted funny
the-
things on Twitter, but
Non-fun.
Why-
The,
what-
yeah, that Instagram picture.
What brick?
Wix out here wanting to fix you up. You don't need any help, apparently.
true.
Also, I saw the cat one. I did like the cat one.
Yeah, I shit posted a lot on Twitter while I was there. It was fun, but
What is my mother?
Is it the so much wild animal suffering could be prevented with one well-placed Walmart? 'Cause that's a banger.
there were like 3 separate posts I made that were like, it was like me in the middle of nature, and I was just like, fuck this place. This should be a Walmart. Turn this place into a parking lot. I think literally, I
Oh,
think the
God.
first thing I posted was, yeah, it was a picture of my friend, and I said she does not like my idea to turn this place into a parking lot to reduce wild.
Okay, I
animal
like this
suffering.
one of you and your friends smiling. 1 unit of suffering is equal. Shrimp are human. They denied this, yet find a way to smile. Confusing. Dude, your Twitter's fucking hilarious. How come I never get these in my following feed?
Well, because he's usually not that funny. He's like I said, it was
I'm
this
goated.
trip. He was doing.
Never
banger
lose
after
sight. This is
banger.
one I found. Never lose sight of what really matters. The gains from trade are large.
That one was goated. They're all good.
Win bigly.
They are. There were some bangers. It was the only time he's been funny on Twitter ever. Okay.
Which, by the way, chat, I told like 5 people there, actually more than that, about the Shrimp Welfare Project. Okay, we have to fundraise for Shrimp Welfare Project merch that I can buy. All right, so I can show up next year with a full Shrimp Welfare Project beanie, jacket, hoodie, shirt. They don't make pants, unfortunately, but
This is my new favorite. I am now a Nicholas Decker stan, by the way, because I'm just scrolling through your
dope.
Twitter. But the moral duty to marry an immigrant.
Oh, he doesn't miss.
Yeah.
He's like how Nonfun was on that trip, but he's like that all the time. He never.
I
For
know.
real.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And then what else did we talk about? Oh, okay, we got the China. Can we just skip the China like the election stuff? It was just literally nothing, wasn't it? Like I know you're getting.
I haven't
researching
looked
it, but
super far into it
Oh.
yet, but from what
It was
I've
like,
seen,
what I
it's a
saw-
nothing burger. But we're talking
yeah, it was
about
like a
it
failed
on
attempt
Gibbs
of,
tomorrow.
like getting IDs. It was literally like a failed attempt.
Yeah.
And then, what's any updates with Iran? I know America and other countries are just telling their citizens we have America. which
Twitter
seems like
says
we
Trump
have
has
some-
approved an attack plan.
I think.
But
national
oh wait, hold on.
security-
Sorry, that's
Before we
from
spread
Tim
information,
Cast IRL. Never mind, that's not real.
Yeah, I think
But,
the
I mean, that
National
wouldn't
Security
surprise me.
Council like literally just met like a few hours ago, so I don't know if they've even. Yeah, Trump meets with advisors in Situation Room, so I don't know if they've even
Americans vote
decided anything yet.
Okay, have either of you seen anything about Trump saying like, or Netanyahu saying they want to completely incapacitate any nuclear reserves in Iran, like including like the civilian like power capabilities? Like, has there been any? Because I got server muted in a Peace Coast server for asking that question.
I don't know. I saw Israel basically said we don't have the capability to have. We don't have like enough bunker busting bombs or a big enough one to reach some of the underground nuclear facilities, and they were like, the U.S. has to step up and do this, but that's really all I've seen. I don't know. I don't think they've.
Okay.
Peace
How do you
Coast
feel about
sucks,
it?
true.
Are you anti-strike
I don't
or are
know.
you pro-strike? I guess.
I'll probably read a little bit more into it. I don't know.
I know that
the issue is like I don't have a good mechanism for like assigning probabilities that like a strike would lead to some response that would be bad. Because like I think if the U.S. did like a did some type of strike and like got rid of most of Iran's nuclear enrichment facilities, which Israel already did a decent amount of, like I don't know if the Iran response was basically just a nothing burger, like. That,
yeah, I mean they've said
I
something
think
on like Twitter.
Yeah,
so they
like,
have
I think
something coming, but yeah.
I think that'd probably be a net good thing, but I'd be especially worried about, which I don't know what it would look like, but like any type of Chinese involvement with Iran, I don't think would be a good thing. And like I don't know, like I just don't know how to assign probability to like China and Iran signing some mutual defense treaty after we do that strike or something.
I don't know enough about the relationship either. No,
yeah, but which there might be responses that are bad that don't involve Chinese involvement either. But I think that
yeah, true. I mean, there are other anti-Israel nations that have been like quote unquote activated in recent years that might I don't know what the Middle East is going to look like as a result of this, but I don't think that it's going to affect us domestically, not even close.
Yeah.
So that's where the analysis becomes a little complicated because like obviously like I'm big intervention man.
I saw Richard
yeah.
Hernani wrote an article.
Yes, I like that. I'm pretty sure.
I haven't.
Yes,
yeah.
why the case for regime change in Iran. Yes.
Which I haven't read
This is
yet
why
or anything.
every day I'm more and more convinced that I'm a neocon hiding inside of a liberal, just waiting to be set free by MAGA dying off finally, and the Republicans returning to their roots. And then we'll be debating each other non-fun, and you'll crush me every time. Okay,
True.
I'm gonna head out. I like the haircut, buddy. Glad to have you back.
I appreciate it.
Have a good night.
See ya. I need a macro key that immediately turns off my camera on both OBS and Discord and then closes the window of the pop out stream thing, but I don't know. Why isn't it doing my highlight thing? Hello. Hello, web highlighter. Your one job. Let me highlight. Settings. On. There we go. Okay. We'll read this. We'll read about the China thing. I think Renil's already read a bit about that. I wonder if he has notes in it or anything yet. And then I want to read this because this seems spaced. All right. No need for reading study abstracts anymore. Simply read the Twitter summary of the study. Or paper, I guess, but my new paper, The Non-Effects of Tariffs on Manufacturing Employment, is hot off the presses. A thread below. In the paper, I'm assuming he means we argue, or I argue, that trade war will not increase manufacturing employment. 2, we should not want manufacturing employment to increase. So based. 3, the protectionist impulse is predicated largely on incorrect judgments about economic trends for typical workers and households. Holy so based. Tariffs will, 1, boost manufacturing employment by protecting domestic manufacturers from competition of imports. 2, reduce manufacturing employment by making imported parts, supplied, and equipment more expensive. And 3, reduce manufacturing employment by inviting retaliation. You don't even have to, this is true, but again, you don't even have to invite retaliation, because if you reduce the supply, if people buy less foreign goods as a result of tariffs, you supply less dollars overseas, and that causes exchange rates to appreciate, which means people buy less exports. So any company that relies on exporting can get fucked over. Which effects are biggest? Import protection does relatively little. Yeah, I mean, it's probably there's plenty of empirical evidence for these things. Why? Well, 55% of U.S. imports are intermediate inputs. Imported by U.S. manufacturers. Tariffs increase the cost to U.S. facing U.S. manufacturers plus retaliation. What's up, localist? What's up, no font 420? True. But anyway, oh, holy based. I haven't read this book yet, but I have it. I was arguing a little bit with my family while I was on vacation about stuff in that book. About like inequality. Did you see the new SCOTUS drop? No. I feel like I know what you're talking about, but I don't. Or what do they say? I feel like once you say it, I'll remember it. Glass working machines. You know, fucking China is always a safe guess. Germany. Okay. Doing pretty good so far. Okay. Transgender kids decision. Oh, no, I haven't seen this at all. Supreme Court upholds state bans on transgender care for minors. The U.S. Supreme Court on Wednesday upheld laws in roughly half the states that ban gender affirming care for medical care for transgender minors. To vote was 6-3 along ideological lines. The first 2 paragraphs make me want to kill myself. Okay. The case was brought by transgender children and their parents in Tennessee, who claimed the state's ban on hormone treatments and puberty blockers for transgender minors discriminated on the basis of sex. They contended that they were being denied equal protection of law because the same medications that are banned for minors with gender dysphoria are permitted for minors with conditions such as endometriosis and early or late onset puberty. But writing for the conservative court, supermajority Chief Justice John Roberts rejected that argument entirely. Said that laws like Tennessee's that turn on age and medical use are not subject to the same kind of heightened legal scrutiny that courts use to look at workplace sex discrimination, for instance. Instead, the court applied the lowest level legal scrutiny, called rational basis, meaning that if there's any rational justification for a law, it passes the constitutional muster. Well, I mean, I don't think I have a huge issue with that, right? Like, I don't, like, I'm not necessarily in support of, or I'm not in support of states being able to ban, or states actually banning, gender affirming care for, like, all gender affirming care for minors. I think there obviously should be restrictions on it. But like, I don't think it's I would have never said that it was like unconstitutional for them to do so. I don't think there's a good case to be made for that. But Okay, China, Germany. Glass making machines. Okay. Legal argument is insane, and it shouldn't be decided in a federal court. Well, I mean, the federal court has to. I mean, if you're making a case that it's unconstitutional, based on, I'm assuming they used the 14th Amendment, like the federal court obviously is gonna have to decide that. But okay. Switzerland. Fuck. I want to say the U.S., but Local is still waiting on a single SCOTUS decision. He's okay with the I know. Well, he doesn't want SCOTUS. I don't want to say he doesn't want SCOTUS to exist, but he doesn't want SCOTUS to have judicial review. He doesn't want. I mean, he doesn't even want the U.S. to exist, really. So obviously, there's. I don't think he's. I want to say the U.S., but I feel like we don't export glass working machines. Korea. Well, South Korea. Fuck. That's horrible, horrible, horrible. Judicial supremacy is not judicial review. Oh, it's the issue, not judicial review. Wait, but you... Hold on. You do disagree. Play whatever semantic games you want. You don't think SCOTUS should have judicial review. I don't know why you're pussyfooting around that. You have said that to me before. You don't think, like, you totally disagree with Marbury v. Madison. Like, you don't think they should have that power. Canada. France, maybe. Oh, fuck. You know what? Bronze, okay. Italy. Oh, I should have said the U.S. I should have doubted myself. I would have never guessed Singapore. I would have gotten to Italy eventually. Damn it. Okay, I'm not going to be able to do this one. This one sucks. Actually, I feel like I definitely have had this country before. But I have no clue what it was. Fuck. Oh my god, kill me. God damn it. Yeah, it's impossible. Constitutional law is 100% fake and made up. That is true, O'Connor boy. Why does it never work? Why does it never work? Why does it never work? What? Why is this one not working either? My game. No. No. Why? What if I open an incognito tab? What? What? It's Jover. It's so Jover. It's so Jover. Okay, is there any news with this? I was talking to Isaac about it, but... President Trump told senior aides late Tuesday that he had approved of a tax plan for Iran, but was holding off to see if Tehran would abandon its nuclear program. People familiar with the deliveries instead. Iran's well-defended Fordow enrichment facility is a possible U.S. target. It is buried under a mountain and generally considered by military experts to be out of reach of all but the most powerful bombs. Asked if he had decided what to strike Iran's nuclear facilities, Trump said, "I may do it, I may not do it." Awesome. He repeated his insistence of Iran's unconditional surrender. The next week is going to be very big, maybe less than a week. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei earlier said the country wouldn't surrender and warned any U.S. military intervention would bring irreparable consequences. What else to know? Ted Cruz, who earlier spoke to Sparta talk show host Tucker Carlson over the conflict, sees a possible U.S. bunker strike in Iran, but no boots on the ground. This shit was insane. Oh my god, 10th Amendment Center. Nafan hates constitutional law. He hates studying it. I wouldn't say I hate it. I don't care about it that much. I have no active disdain for it. I just don't. I just don't think it's the singular important issue like you do. Okay. Nalfan hates checks and balances. True. He likes consolidating power infinitely. True. All power should be vested in Jerome Powell. Okay, he should just be our dictator. Dictator Jerome Powell. Okay. Anyway, I want to watch. We got a lot of shit to do today because I've been gone and lazy. I want to read this book at some point. I'm not going to do it on stream. I might do some of it on stream, but and then I can become the based, privatized Social Security Chad that I was born to be. Okay. Okay, why is it highlighting it and not going there? There we go. All power should be in D.C. and decided by Israel, not Fatah. This is true. True. Yes. That's what. No,
Maybe
fuck
Cameron.
Jerome Powell. All power should be in the hands of Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay. All power should be in APAC. Yes, we did. Yes. Finally. Yes. Someone who gets it. I want to watch. I saw a clip of this on Twitter. I haven't seen any or many interviews where Zorhan was getting like that much pushback. And I see he did an interview with the Bulwark yesterday. I saw they disagreed a little bit, and I'm very curious. I'm very curious how this goes for him.
Should be mayor.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just glad that
Well,
came
I mean,
it's
you
too
know,
late. It's too late.
Why not go down to the Zoomers? Okay, if we're gonna do a young millennial,
He's
why not a Zoomer
33.
mayor?
True.
Hey, everybody, I'm Tim Miller.
I'm Cameron Kasky, and this is FY Pod. Today is our most exciting episode yet. He is a socialist. He was a rapper. As of recently, he is married, which, you know, I'm glad you two fucking millennials can be happy. I am so honored to have the future mayor of New York City, the Athens of America, the Lima of America, the Istanbul of America.
Are you seriously
Mr.
playing a Minecraft during a professional political broadcast? This is, yeah, that's me. That's what I always do, bro. How do you not know this, localist?
Zoran Mamdani. How you doing, man?
How's it going? How's it going? Thank you so much for having me.
He was prepping that intro all night. Zoran, for people who, unlike Cameron, who seems very familiar with your bio, I think probably some of our listeners went from like knowing literally nothing about you to seeing their most lefty friend start posting about you on Instagram constantly in like the past 2 weeks. And so for like that person for whom you've just like appeared out of the ether, maybe like tell us a little bit about you.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you, that lefty friend, for posting. I usually tell people to get off the internet, but it's been helpful. So my name is Zoran Mamdani. I was born in Kampala, Uganda, in East Africa. Came to New York City when I was 7 years old. Grew up in Morningside Heights, and I'm a state assembly member. I represent parts of Western Queens, Astoria, and Long Island City. I'm in my third term, and my focus while I've been in the assembly has been on the fact that we are living in the most expensive city in the United States. How do we actually make it affordable for the working and middle class New Yorkers who built it? And initially, that meant a real focus around the betrayal that the city did to working class taxi drivers who were trapped in hundreds of thousands of dollars in medallion debt. And that was really the focus of my first year, where I worked with the New York Taxi.
Oh, I thought we were about to get some Uber hate. Okay, I thought we were gonna go immediately into the gig economy, evil, bad, horrible thing. Okay, that could be true. That could, okay. This whatever medallion bullshit could be true. Okay, I have no clue.
Taxi Workers Alliance, thousands of working class drivers, to secure about $450 million in debt relief after partnering with Senator Schumer on that. And then the next focus has also been about public transit and the fact that it's one of the most beautiful things about our city. And also it is one of the most glaring examples of public inefficiency that we have here. And if you care deeply about public goods and public services I do, then you have to also care about public excellence. And increasing subway frequency, increasing the reliability of our buses, also making them more affordable. That's really been so much of how I've approached the work in state government.
Safer. I mean, I love
Yes.
being on the subway, but you know, it's one. You know, it's cool, right? You see people like singing. That's fun. You get to see people of all walks of life. Then you get to see naked people, right? Then you get to see people that look a little scary.
Yeah, and I think when you ask New Yorkers where they feel least safe, you will often hear the subway system. And a big part of our campaign's proposal around public safety is to create teams of dedicated mental health outreach workers that would be placed in the top 100 stations of levels of mental health crises or homelessness to actually both provide those services and move people out of the system. And I think that's critically important because right now we can treat a lot of these aspects of New York City life as if they're innate, they're natural, as opposed to the fact that they're political choices, and we can make different choices and have different results.
That's because one of the things you said in one of the debates was like, the NYPD is getting called to do stuff that they're not trained to do. They're getting called to be social workers for different things. So we need experts who actually know how to handle these situations without escalating or potentially turning them dangerous, going in and managing that. And what does that look like?
What the thing already? What's up, Dylan Thomas? I'll never get over this on airport take. I never did reading on that. Like it is, I like that was a little weird to me. But like I'm ignorant enough where I think Pisco like maybe could be right about that. But like I don't know. Like it doesn't seem to at all be viewpoint discrimination if you are someone who like literally has talked to a potential terrorist to like just get asked questions at the airport. Like I don't know. Like that just seems a little like that just seems totally fair to me, but I don't know. I'm ignorant enough about it. Okay.
Does the assembly of that task force require?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. One thing is you scale up what has been, what could have been successful in our city. Was it actually being pursued in a sincere manner? And what I mean by that is there's a program called Be Heard in New York City that would redirect 911 calls that were regarding mental health crises to ensure that you actually had specialists who were trained for that to respond to that. But Eric Adams' mayoralty was just fundamentally uninterested in actually making this workable. And the reason that I believe it is workable is you can see examples elsewhere in the country, examples like in Oregon, where they took mental health calls out of the police department, gave them to a different.
The vibe's a little different in Oregon. People are like doing weed gummies, kind of hanging out, chilling. Like it's maybe a little bit of an easier challenge for the Salem.
Wokeness.
I think Salem mental health force.
I think the larger point though is that right now the NYPD is answering 200,000 mental health calls a year, and you can't separate that from the fact that only 35% of crimes from the first quarter of this year have actually been solved. Because if you're asking,
don't worry, Donald Trump has fixed this. Okay, he has defunded the evil woke LGBTQ fucking suicide assistance line. All right, we've solved it. Okay, don't worry. There will be no more mental health phone calls if you defund all the mental health agencies.
Those same police officers to both pick up that call, go on that trip, and respond to that shooting. There's just one of those things that is not going to be able to be done. And it's interesting that a lot of times when you talk about a vision for public safety and you talk about allowing police to do their jobs, it's framed sometimes as if
I don't understand why people keep listening to people that lie so easily and recklessly. Yeah, me either, dog. But such is the case, okay, with the Zoomers, the evil Zoomers. How do I make this shit? I didn't play Minecraft for a week and I forgot all the stupid modded bullshit.
Or you were anti-police, and yet if you listen to police officers themselves, you'll see 200 officers are leaving the department every month. A leading cause of that departure and the fact that nearly a quarter are considering it is forced overtime. And a lot of that forced overtime comes from officers working doubles and triples and being placed in the subway station, being placed doing this response to nearly every failure of the social safety net. And the way that you can make that life a little bit more standard and have a little bit more quality in when they know they can actually go home is by ensuring they can focus on the 7 major categories of crime and not by saying you pick up the phone anytime anyone calls.
Well, when I look back at 2021 and in my kind of reductive take, I'm like, okay, Eric Adams won because he ran on being a cop and people were so hyped about the cops. And that's how Eric Adams became the mayor of the Islamabad of America.
How many more cities you got? I love it.
I try to remember as many as possible. I watched several compilations of him doing it. It's really entertaining. Adams has a lot in common with Trump, and it being kind of crazy to watch is certainly one of them. But when you look back at that and everybody in New York City's response to defund the police style messaging and just how different progressive candidates were putting together messaging about, there being a difference between defunding the police and not giving them unlimited budgets to make subway robots, I feel like it's sort of been hard to get the messaging straight there. So I guess while you're talking to people, audience,
subway robots sound awesome. What? I want the subway police robots. What the fuck? Wait, what do I need? Tin? Where the fuck is my tin? Fuck.
Don't like me in the comments. What is your message in terms of, hey, I'm not here to defund the police. We're just working to make the city safer and innovate.
I think you've said it pretty clearly, right? This campaign is
maybe Cameron should be mayor.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just glad that
well,
Cameron. It's too late.
Why not go down to the Zoomers? Okay, if we're gonna do a young millennial, why not a Zoomer mayor?
Zorhan is 33, and I'm like one step removed from being a fucking child, and I saw your age, and I was like, wow, I have hope for this next generation.
Yeah, ish.
And you're married. I'm not gonna be married at fucking 33.
You might be. There's hope. You might be in a polycule.
We just gotta get
defund the police. I think he was asking you about.
Yes. Somehow we got to polycules. I think what I've been very clear with New Yorkers about is that, in fact, when Eric Adams was running in 2021, of all people,
when will Zorhan make polygamy legal throughout the 5 boroughs? Okay, can we get an official position?
He said New Yorkers need not choose between safety and justice, and he's shown himself unable to deliver on the former, uninterested in delivering on the latter. And what our campaign is focused on is actually that public safety, and that means not defunding the police. That means sustaining the headcount of the police department. It also means having the police be able to actually respond to those major categories of crime, whether we're talking about shootings or murders or grand larceny. When we're seeing CompStat lay those out, we also have to ask ourselves, how do we ensure that we're solving more of those crimes? Because part of the diminishing faith in local government is not just whether or not crime goes up, it's whether or not the actual closing of those cases is also going up. And I think that it's interesting that when you speak to New Yorkers, you will hear there is an understanding that so much of what we're asking police officers to do is something that goes against actually
wanting to support my boy Non-Fun. That is true, very true. Base chat, yes, let's go, yes.
And if we were to hire those who are actually trained to do the work that we're asking them to do, that allows everyone to do their jobs. And that actually creates a safer city, especially in the place where, when we're talking about the subway system, it's not always categorized in statistics. It's also in feeling and the experience of going through that system and the real sense of vacancy that's permeating that system, whether it's the 75% of commercial units that are vacant in the subway system, or it's the fact that oftentimes you feel that you are alone on that subway platform waiting for that train that's taking too long. Just having a more visible presence of the city looking out for you can make all the difference in how you actually go through that.
What about James Murphy's plan to make the sound?
Globalism is a religion, the best religion to base. The one true religion is unfettered globalism. Very true. Yes.
Better on the turnstiles. Did you ever hear about that one? We're gonna,
We're gonna
have vibier sounds. Okay, just something to think about.
Can you give me some more?
Do you know James Murphy? You're a young millennial. You know James Murphy, LCD sound system. That ring a bell?
Okay.
Okay.
LCD sound system does ring a bell. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, he's a New Yorker, and he had proposed that that you bring a little bit better aesthetic to the subways. But like when you're going through the turnstiles, like it'd have a vibey sound. That was the proposal. I'm not going to pin you down on that right now. Something to think about.
I appreciate that.
Something to think about if you get in there. You might have got a sense for the vibe at this point already. Cam is standing you, and is on the imaginary ranked choice ballot. He's putting you number one. I'm skeptical. As a former Republican, neo-lib, moderate, chill. So we've got like this little kind of good twink, bad twink routine going. And
the full Abrahamic coalition right now. We're really firing on all
cylinders. Come on. So here's what I want to give you the chance to do before I give you a little shit. Right now, I live in New Orleans, so this isn't a real vote. But I've got a top 4 on my imaginary ballot. You and Creepy Andrew are not on it, okay? But you have a chance to get 5th.
That's where I'm. I think that's where I. If I lived in New York, it would literally be. It would come down to, do I want to rank Cuomo or Zorhan 5th? And I think I would probably lean towards Zorhan just because Cuomo just seems like not a cool dude, just not a chill, fun, cool dude. Okay, but
chance to get 5th, which could be pretty important in a ranked choice voting system. So I want you to make the case to capitalist, moderate, neo-libs to rank you 5th.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. What I would say is that one thing that many of us have in common is that we care deeply about this city. And I think it serves no one that it is the most expensive city in the United States of America. It doesn't serve a business owner. It doesn't serve a worker. It doesn't serve someone who's just passionate about the future of this place. And we've seen that while income inequality has gone down across the country, it's actually increased in New York City. And
is there anything localist understands? Probably not, unfortunately, sadly.
The campaign's focus
I don't think
on
you're talking about the
affordability,
10th Amendment.
it's a focus that is also about ensuring that this city continues to grow. Because what we've seen is while we're at 8.5 million people and we're seeing a slight uptick
Andrew Cuomo poisoned my
hundreds
crops would not be out of character for him, okay? I believe it. This is true. When will the New York Times write an article about that one? What the fuck? They're writing all these articles about Zorhan, okay? But they don't give a shit about Cuomo killing my Minecraft.
Thousands of people just over the Mayor Adams mayor alley. And we've lost them to neighboring states, some of which would also be considered high-tax states, like New Jersey. We've lost them to Connecticut. We've lost them to Pennsylvania. And that's also a loss for our tax base. It's also on a national level a loss in the ability for us to continue to have the congressional representation we should have. And ultimately what this campaign is about delivering is a city that working and middle-class people can afford. And in making it so, it's also a place where businesses and even the wealthy can have a better life. Because so often the question of whether or not wealthy New Yorkers stay in this city is framed as if it's entirely contingent upon tax policy. But if you look at studies by the Fiscal Policy Institute, you find that the top 1% of New Yorkers leave at 1/4 the rate of other income categories due to that tax policy. Ultimately, what it is quality of life. And I think too often we've allowed words like quality of life, like efficiency, fraud, waste, to almost become coded as if they are right-wing concerns, when in fact they should be left-wing
concerns.
Zorhan
proposed a nonsense policy about government grocery stores that will never materialize. That's why we have to vote for the sex pest or maybe even GOP. True. That's what is like a little annoying, okay, about like Twitter neoliberals is it just feels like, I probably can't sleep if there's a fucking internet in my room. And it just feels like they way like overestimate like how bad like some like cringe socialist policies are. It's like, government owned, first of all, a pilot, not even an actual like government owned grocery store program. It's like a pilot program. It's like we're gonna test this out, like one like pilot program, and like freezing the rents for buildings that are already rent controlled. Well, like he has at the very least also talked about like, the need for private housing to be built and things. It's like, I just feel like these people are like way overestimating the harm caused by like what I would just call like cringe policy. Like it's like cringe, like it's not super, like it's not necessarily good, like it's not a good policy, but like it's just not nearly as catastrophically bad as I think so many people think it is. But feeling increasingly vindicated on the idea that most self-identified neoliberals are not actually neoliberals, just appeal to moderation fallacy enjoyers. negatively polarized against the left? Probably, dude. That seems likely.
About public
Okay.
service, if you care about public goods, you have to have public excellence, because any example of public inefficiency is then used as justification to not have a
Truth
public sector at
nuke.
all. That's why I
Truth,
started with the
abundance,
MTA
build,
and state
truth
assembly,
nuke.
because that's the most frequent example for New Yorkers of how government is not delivering on what was promised. And what I would
you said in the debate, and I didn't know about this, that Cuomo had stolen like hundreds of millions of dollars from the MTA. What went down with that?
this is a former governor who spent many years pretending that the MTA wasn't even a state authority.
Neoliberals enjoy
And just completely
neoliberal targeted tariff enjoyers. True.
Himself of any responsibility. And the cuts that he made to the MTA were cuts both in regular funding, but also there was a moment where a number of upstate ski resorts had a bad winter. He took money from the MTA to subsidize those ski resorts. That's the extent to which this man defunded mass transit in New York City. And my point that I would make is that one of the first times I worked with the partnership of the city of New York, which is the organization that represents businesses across New York City, was when we both came together to fight for better subway service. And I think that's the point I would make to you and to, as you described it, a capitalist audience, is that so many of the things
What's up,
that I'm
radical
fighting
coder?
for.
Like the stream to save the Republic. Truth. You guys need to like the stream to save my channel from the algorithm. Okay. I didn't stream for like a week or like over a week. So we need to make sure the algorithm still likes me. All right, but.
They are things that actually benefit everyone. I mean, if you're a business and you're thinking about the loss of productivity because of the amount of time spent in traffic or spent in delays or spent just waiting, that's time that can be returned back to you if someone is able to actually get to work quicker. And I think this is also a place where I really find a lot of the conversation around abundance to be quite compelling, is that there are a lot of regulations and rules and even fees and fines that we do not have a justification for any longer. And if there is no justification, then it should not exist. If there is a justification, then we should continue with it. And I think I look at an example of barbershops. In New York City, you have to fill out 23 forms, go to 7 different agencies, and attend 12 activities in order to be able to become a barber,
This
to
is
have your
absurd.
own
So
barbershop.
can we just start at 0? Can you just get rid of all of them?
He knows just mentioning, okay, the word abundance and regulatory state. Okay, that's enough to win me over. All right, I'm a Zorhan voter now. He did it. Woohoo. None of his policies are going to be implemented anyway. That's another, true. I don't even know how much power the mayor. I don't know how much power the mayor in New York even has. I should probably Google this. I literally have no fucking clue. Like, can he do anything unilaterally, or does literally everything have to go through a city council? Because I'm pretty sure that's how that works in most fucking localities. Do I not have coal either? Goddamn, I'm fucking low on everything.
But and I think going to 0, you might need one piece of certification. But
Why?
I would.
Why? You're
I
just
would.
cutting hair.
Are you a
How many
barber
New Yorkers are just
libertarian,
cutting hair?
Tim?
Yeah, how
me
many
tell
New
you
Yorkers
here.
are just cutting hair in each other's homes? Like, your mom's cutting your hair. Does she need a certificate? This is crazy.
I'm
What are they
I'm
going to
pro
do? They're
haircut.
going to accidentally nick you? Like, what's the worry?
Look, let me tell you, there's a lot of New Yorkers who worry about having a bad haircut, and they need to
Okay.
make sure they have,
All
they
right,
have a
so we're
licensed
going to have one
barber.
form, is what you're saying? Down from
But
22?
my point is that you look at Pennsylvania, they took an 8-week process of permitting, made it into
I heard
2 or
that
3
Gaza
days. That
is
to me
getting a
also an example of what
California
I would
pizza kitchen. What the fuck? What's up, Flavor Town? Welcome to the stream.
deliver as the mayor of the city is one that's actually efficient. And I find it very ironic because, as you said, Andrew Cuomo's not on your ballot either. But for many New Yorkers for whom he is on their ballot, a lot of it is about the sense of competency, of managerial experience. We're talking about a guy who's so bad at management.
New York City should be closed down. True localist. Oh, that's why. Yeah, I forgot about the, you don't believe cities should exist.
Out the most celebrated head of the New York City Transit Authority, Andy Byford, who would now rather work for Donald Trump than work for Andrew Cuomo. That's what we're also looking at. Someone who spent the most money in the history of the world on a single mile of subway. That's also the part of politics we have to turn.
So I'm getting Josh Shapiro pilled there on the cutting regulations. I think that's something to note. I want to you mentioned something at the beginning of that answer, which I just want to drill down on a little bit, which is people, just the income inequality and people leaving, people being able to afford living in New York. I saw a fun fact that kind of blew my mind the other day. You know that there are fewer people living in Manhattan now than there were in 1910 to 1950. It's the idea that it's overcrowded or whatever is it's crazy, right? There were more people living in Manhattan in 1910 than there are today. And so how do you do that though? How do you break through the red tape?
I really like that. I always forget the number. I really like the statistic. It's literally 40 or over 40% of the buildings in New York would be illegal to build today. I think the New York Times has a piece about 40% of the buildings in Manhattan could not be built today. Okay, and it's for not even good reasons. It's just what the fuck? New videos, copyright infringement. What the fuck? Whatever. Okay. Anyway, but too many businesses, too many apartments because they're too tall. They don't have the setback requirements, which is just the dumbest fucking bullshit thing ever. Yeah. Nafan, do you support the idea I hear Destiny talking about a lot of giving every poor inner city black person 40 acres and a mule? No, I don't think I really support like any. Like what would the word? I like. Well, I think I'm fine saying like I don't really support like any type of like targeted reparation, but like, you know, I would just like have like I would have reparations for everyone. Okay, I'd have universal reparations. Okay, and this is how can we get UBI passed if we make it woke enough? Okay, universal reparations. Nothing. Congrats into transition just before Pride Month ends. Whoa, where are these allegations coming from, bro? But you know, thanks, I guess. But
whatever it is, you tell me what it is that is preventing, more housing from going in the areas of the city that should be more dense.
I think part of it is that you are willing to have these political fights. You know, it is.
Oh,
it is not
wait.
going...
Hold on. YouTube was telling me people were stealing my content. Holy shit. Wait. Speaking of a UBI, what the fuck? UBI work stealing my content? I actually think I am okay with this. I don't really care. Most taxes percent. 138 views. Wait. It said 5.2k views. Most taxes present a trade-off. Oh, that's subscribers, isn't it? Oh, fuck. Yeah, no. And then this is just, I think this is just YouTube's algorithm.
Good evening.
Messing up. Or YouTube's content ID system messing up. This is not my content, dog. Okay. Sorry. I thought YouTube was getting mad at me for stealing someone's copyrighted content, which is not something I would ever do. Ever. Not in a don't look in the top right corner of your screen right now. People are just stealing my content. No, I'm not going to copy strike them. I don't care. Take their revenue. It has 138 views. You think that's any? You think that's any revenue, bro? It's on a short too. Okay, it's like they probably at most made like 1 cent from this video. Okay, and my socials are on screen there, so I don't care. People can steal my shorts if they have my socials like overlay. I'm fine with that. I mistake you for being Biden. That's true. We are literally the same person. He's just like me for real. So very, very reasonable mistake to make. Yeah, I see it.
To be easy to change the political norms of this city, right? We have a norm right now in New York City where the approach we have to land use is one that is piecemeal. Each city council member has something called member deference, where they decide whether or not a land use project moves forward. That's the kind of system that does not allow for a citywide approach to increasing housing production. Yeah. And I think that one of the key things I've said is that we have to increase supply, and part of how we do so is by expediting the processes by which supply can get approved for production. And part of that is a citywide comprehensive approach, and another part of it is a commitment that if you align with the administration's goals, whether it be affordability goals or labor goals, then you are fast-tracked. Because what we're seeing right now is you have many projects that general consensus would say this should move forward. This is housing for low-income seniors, and even that project is waiting.
Would you date a girl boy if they're bad enough? I feel like I probably would.
For 7, 8, 9 years. And as we know, time is money, and it's not just the money that you spend on constructing, it's the money you spend on
I know what you mean by girl boy. I'm very familiar.
On waiting and going through that process. I think the other thing I would say is, one of the more significant zoning changes that has happened in New York City is City of Yes, which is something that happened under Mayor Adams' administration. And that was something that was primarily driven by his deputy mayors, by his planning commissioner. He wasn't in those rooms making that case because he was too busy facing the first federal indictment of a New York City mayor in modern history. And he was almost entirely removed. And I think that we see the possibility of what could happen without the presence of a mayor. What if you had a mayor who was making that case all the time? Because I agreed with that plan.
What? You said girl? Oh, sorry. No, I thought you were doing other way around. No, I don't think I would localist. Never mind. I'm lying. Probably not, because I am attracted to people who look feminine. So.
And I think it needed to go further in eliminating the requirements to build parking and increasing density around mass transit hubs, and even in upzoning wealthier neighborhoods that have historically not contributed to affordable housing production. And I think that there is another issue at hand here, which is that I talk a lot about how the election is part of a larger conversation about the Democratic Party, how it's part of a larger conversation of whether Republican billionaires can buy another race as they're sending $1 million a day into Andrew Cuomo's super PAC. But there's also a different conversation in that New York City, for example, the MTA makes up 40% of all public transit trips in the United States of America. If we get something right here, it can be a model for what could happen across this country. But instead of that efficiency, what we have is a continued insistence that this is all it could ever be, and a reverse New York exceptionalism that points to things working elsewhere in the world and the country and saying, I just couldn't be here because this is New York. And we have to change that. We have to return back to that ambition that you were talking about from the early 1900s, and a sense of humility that if someone else has got
Not wanting to date men as a man is incredibly gay. Apparently, bro. I don't know what these allegations are, dog.
it right, we should learn from them.
Well, while we've got Andrew Cuomo's MAGA donor millionaire PACs on the mind, I wanted to bring up something that I saw. So look, Cuomo still has you beat, and he's still way ahead of you in sexual misconduct allegations and falsely reported senior citizen home deaths, and I don't think you're going to be able to.
Well, that's
catch
true
up
about
to him.
everybody in the race, okay? All right, like he's also way ahead of Zellner,
Regardless, you're not
Myrie on those
gonna-
topics.
You're not
Okay.
going to be able to catch up with him on that. And but according to Politico recently, you were ahead in a poll, and I was like, huh. If you had told me 4 months ago that a Muslim man in New York City who is running as a socialist and is being critical of our great friends over in the state of Israel was slaying this hard, I would.
He hasn't even been, in fairness, he has not even been that critical of Israel. I literally have not seen, maybe he just hides it. I literally have not seen him say anything about Israel other than I'm just not going to go to Israel. And he won't say like it should exist as a Jewish state, right? Like the whole thing is like, oh, I think it should be a state of equal rights, which like which implies probably like a one-state solution of equal rights or whatever, which is probably not a workable solution. But like I don't think that's especially. It's not like critical of Israel or anything. Like, I don't know. Maybe somewhere deep in his social media past is fucking insane, post history. But like, I just have not seen anything from him other than like, yeah, I'm just not gonna visit Israel, which is like, I feel like that's a perfectly reasonable. That's a perfectly reasonable thing to do, dog. Like,
well, that's not going to happen. That's impossible. And now I've got friends of mine who are very pro-Israel and who give me a lot of shit about some of my takes, and they're posting your graphic that's like, oh, it's Zorhan Day, go vote for Zorhan. I'm like, I feel like a lot of the fear-mongering that's been done and directed at you by Cuomo's PAC and similar groups isn't really resonating with people. We're going to throw the image up right now. Cuomo's PAC, that was MAGA.
oh, that shit was insane, by
put
the
out an
way.
image of Zorhan where they photoshopped him, I guess, to look more like the scary stereotype Muslim they want you to be afraid of. And look, candidly, Zorhan, I think you look handsome in both of these. So,
Just
it's
okay
a
for me.
It's a
I'll make
win-win
comments.
as far as I'm concerned. I think you look great, but it was definitely very alarming. And I think the most interesting thing for me was that it didn't seem to work. And New York City is one of those places where I really thought it would. So that brings me to a topic that has really been compelling to me in this conversation, which is I'm actually going to start with Tim here. Tim, I'm going to name 4 things. I want you to tell me if you can tell what binds them all together. You ready?
Okay, great.
Donald Trump, Andrew Cuomo, Prime Minister Modi's Hindu nationalist efforts,
Oh man.
and my AP US history teacher.
Ooh, I don't want to malign your AP US history teacher about where my head's going about how that person might have treated the girls in your class. So I'll pass.
The answer is Islamophobia. And that has been something that I've seen all over the place in this campaign. And, when I get anti-Semitism directed at me, I kind of like...
Tom would rather touch a penis than a vagina is what he's saying. You're forgetting about who it's attached to, brother. It's like literally, it's the Andrew Tate meme of like Megan Fox with a dick versus Hulk Hogan with a vagina. Yeah, I'm doing Megan Fox with a dick, bro. And I call me gay however you want. Okay, I'm gonna feel perfectly fine doing that, bro. And I think you're gonna, if you're in the other room, okay, with Hulk Hogan with a vagina, I think you're gonna be in a lot more uncomfortable of a situation. Why can't he just support getting rid of the stupid rent freeze, dude? I don't know. I think it's a fucking populist bullshit policy or whatever. But again, it's only on rent stabilized apartments anyway. It's like there's already a stupid policy in place, which is, the rent stabilization scheme. And you're just saying for apartments that are rent stabilized, I'm just gonna freeze the rents, which who knows if that, again, I don't even know if he can declare that unilaterally. It might have to be approved through some city council. It just doesn't seem like that bad of a thing. But if you build enough housing, then it does nothing. That's true as well. It's yeah. Too bad no one will really do that. Yeah, I no offense to Zorhan, okay? I doubt any of them are gonna be particularly effective though, but I don't really know. Zorhan even mentioned earlier, it's hard to build housing because every plan has to be approved by city councils and the local neighborhood things or whatever, and I don't know how it's possible to navigate that, bro. We should just nationalize New York, okay? We should just you know how Trump is, or the budget bill is gonna like plan on selling federal lands. Okay, we should we can sell those federal lands. That's fine. Okay, but then the federal government should buy New York City and get rid of all the zoning laws. Okay.
Laugh it off because I think it's so stupid. But you know, I also walk through the TSA line like, hey everybody, how you doing? So I feel like I have a little bit of privilege here. Whereas for you, does that shit weigh down on you ever? Like, do you ever get this Islamophobic shit and actually take it to heart, or are you just chilling?
It's my general impulse has been to not talk about it, but it's gotten to the point where I have to. You know, I woke up the other day to a message that said a good Muslim is a dead Muslim. These are the kinds of threats I get. Their voicemails, their emails, their DMs. To the extent that I have to have security.
Fuck.
Because we have
Sell federal lands and give profit to the citizens. Sell it and give the profits to the Shrimp Welfare Project. Okay, that'd be a policy I would actually support. Okay. I don't actually know what the profits of the selling the land is going to be used for. They might just go to the general fund. I don't know if they're appropriated to any specific agency or anything, but literally Google trans men, look at the images. I think you have no idea what trans people are. Yeah, yeah, I know. By that, like, there are an unbelievable amount of trans men localists. I don't know if you've ever looked this up, that, like, you definitely could not tell, you know, used to be woman. Like, there's, you know, you are not passing that quiz, okay, where it's a regular man and a trans man, and you have to guess which one is which, okay? You, like, 0% chance you could do that reliably. But Zorhan believes in socialism with economy-like characteristics. True. I never watched the. I remember you guys did a 3 Wonks episode about the city-owned grocery stores, okay? And I think it was when Micah was gone, and I didn't watch any of the. I probably watched some of them. Any of the SDL Econoblate Circle Jerk videos, okay? But I don't know. A lot of. I mean, you're gonna know. Like a lot of the things I like about Zorhan are, you know, the abundance type stuff, okay, building state capacity type stuff, and then everything I don't like about him is cringe socialist stuff, okay. I had your opinion on the grocery stores, not too good, not too bad, or heard your, I'm assuming you mean, yeah.
had a
Don't watch
we had
it.
a press conference where a MAGA supporter was yelling and then eventually ended up biting one of our volunteers, and one of the things he was yelling was that, you know, that I don't belong here, and then his accomplice was yelling that I should be disgusted, should be ashamed of being a brown Muslim, and I think it's sad above all other things, because it's both expected. It's very much out of the Trump playbook to paint
I would do sex with
someone
Ellen
as an other,
Page
but
when that
so
freak
often it's quite tempting to say that these are solely
Blair White
Republican styles of politics, when what we're seeing right now is a Democratic primary where you have candidates in this race who've used language to describe me that is more fitting for a beast than a person, language like a monster, language such as being at the gates, language as if this is the end of this city and of civilization as we know it. And to have that coupled with these Republican billionaire funded mailers that artificially lengthen my beard and darken it, it very much feels like 2002 all
Shout
over
out
again.
a different one today. This is pretty normal for a localist, okay? This is just this is what a localist does. Because he doesn't think anything is relevant besides apparently the 2 relevant issues to localists, okay? The only things that are relevant are the 10th Amendment and transgender people. Those are the 2 those are the 2 things.
And what's
No one would be transgender in a localist society where we adhere to the 10th Amendment, okay? Issue problem solved, buddy.
what's sad is also the sense in what we see with Andrew Cuomo is that so much of what Democratic critique has been of Donald Trump has been that these actions, this rhetoric, it's antithetical to what we want our politics to be, and yet there's too much of an echo of that same kind of rhetoric in our own politics. And I think it cannot be separated from Cuomo being on that debate stage and saying that he's never been to a mosque, having led this state for more than a decade. Because you don't go somewhere if you don't believe people are a part of that thing that you represent. And if you don't see Muslims as New Yorkers, then why would you visit them? And
Can I ask about your as a lapsed Catholic? How Muslim are we? Like, are you halal? Are you sneaking some drinks on the side? Like, where are we on the scale?
There's one of the things I admire is this idea of kosher style, and I think that's where I would be with halal.
Halal style.
Halal style.
Do you ever sneak a smoke? Do you ever sneak a cig? You ever sneak a cig, Zorhan?
Cigs are permissible.
They are permissible. Okay. What about a shot?
You gotta come.
You ever
Shots are not permissible.
Have you ever had one?
But cigs, I would say you should come on Steinway for
Okay.
Ramadan.
All right.
And We'll take you 2 a.m. You'll see every uncle you can find in the world having a slim
Ripping
cigarette.
cigs? All right, I'm
Listen,
down for
I
that.
will
I appreciate
say-
the invite.
As far
Please.
as Bulwark contributors go, I am the most halal style. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. There's a Muslim
not
thing.
halal.
Here's a Muslim thing, Tim, that you should do.
Okay.
If you meet a woman for the first time, you greet her, you say hello, you put your hand gently on your heart.
Look
you
at this
do a little-
guy!
You do a little nod.
Look at this guy.
And if they come in for the hug, then you do the hug and you accept the hug and you give. But doing this it gives them the out if they don't want to do the hug. This started.
Cameron, salam alaikum, brother.
Do you have any other
Alhamdulillah.
tips? Any other tips like that? I'm
Get on your
sorry.
shit, Tim.
This has gotten too fucking friendly. Okay.
Simply solved by not speaking to women ever. I've solved it.
Okay, we're getting to the
fuck.
hard part now. Sorry,
Sorry.
Zorhan.
Wait, no, wait, can I do one more thing?
One more nice thing. Okay, one more good twink, and then we
Well,
get
this
the
is
bad
just a
twink.
fucking question.
GT,
The
BT.
GTVT is coming. BT is about to come. Watch out. Go, Cameron.
Okay, so this is to you, Zorhan, but also just directly to the audience. In terms of dating,
Just hug the girl. What a freak. There's no way you unironically think that makes someone a freak, localist, right? What the fuck?
it's been a disaster for me lately. My heart has been broken. I have broken hearts. My heart has been broken by 2 different women who both follow Zorhan on Instagram. So, whatever that means. But
Reconsider.
I'm trying to get back on the scene. Listen to him. I'm trying to get back on the scene. I'm
Maybe
trying to
that's the
meet
problem.
people.
Maybe you should be dating Whitney Tilson gals, Cameron. That's might be something to consider.
I'm trying to get back in the dating scene, spread my wings and fly a little bit. And I'm seeing all these pieces about how third spaces are going away. Places where people can all come together and socialize, and Halal Cam can hang out without drinking, and we can get to know one another and be part of the community the way that we all want to be when we're in a city where you can meet all these people. Like in Gen
That's
Z,
the thing with
people
these
aren't fucking
liberals.
meeting each other
They're
anymore.
scared a woman and need to say, touch my heart to scheme a hug. No, the point of it was to not force a woman into a hug. You're not here. The point of it is you let the woman choose whether to initiate the hug. That was the point of it. That it's not a scheme to get the hug. It's just being nice and not trying to pressure someone into a hug. I don't think that makes someone a freak. And apparently it's he said it's a Muslim thing to do. That's so fucking gay. True. Which it could just be part of the culture.
Yeah.
Like people my age just don't even know how to interact with other human beings, and I'm wondering. I know that COVID has played such a huge part in those spaces,
Real.
being harder to access. But what's your take moving into being mayor of how we're
You're
going to
just gonna say
revitalize
fun
those scenes, make it
transit,
city
which
that never
is a
sleeps again?
fine answer.
I think part of it is actually enjoying this job. People often talk about being the mayor as if it is something that is purely a burden and a responsibility, and it is incredibly important. There's so much that you have to do to live up to the position. And
Localist
it's also an
man
opportunity
fails to
celebrate the
understand
city.
being non-sexually creepy and locally specific cultural customs other than his own. True. Don't you know in your ideal society, okay, in your ideal local society, you would never actually, you're gonna take this as a positive. Never mind. Hold on. I was gonna say you would never interact with the other cultures, okay? Because everything is grown in your own local community, okay? No need to buy food from fucking redneck farmers or anything and learn about their culture, okay? But localist is gonna take that as a positive. Localist doesn't want to talk to any Muslims or anything. So.
And to shine a light on what we love about this city. And I think to what you're saying with this demise of third spaces, what I would tell you, first of all, I would say to the 2 women that broke your heart to reconsider in this moment. The second thing I tell you is that I met my wife on Hinge, so there is still hope in those dating apps. And the third would be that it's been an interesting part of the story about Muslims in New York City is also this moment of Yemeni coffee shops across New York City. There are now maybe 5 or 6 different Yemeni coffee shop chains. And what makes them distinct is unlike the coffee shops that we've kind of become familiar with, these are coffee shops that will stay open until about midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. sometimes. And so they become this kind of third space where you can go and just sit and chat and hang out with friends. And I would tell you that's somewhere you should check out. You should go to a place called Kawa House, Mocha & Co., Mo Cafe. These are a lot of the places where people are finding some time to just relax. And I think
Nice one, Localist.
the other point is that it's city government's responsibility to ensure that we have more of those public spaces that can function in the same way. I mean, parks, especially during COVID, were a place where so
My cat is, what the fuck are you doing? He's taking the most inconvenient path around my desk. He's gonna... If stream cuts out, okay, it's because he fucking pulled out one of the wires that he's crawling across.
many New Yorkers were able to actually reconnect with their
Localist
city
would
and their
rank
friends.
Cromwell
And
first.
those parks are being underfunded. And part of the result of that is that they are not at the level of excellence that we've come to expect, but also that cutting of funding has meant that we have brush fires in New York City that we historically wouldn't have because we're cutting funding for the Parks Department employees whose job it is to clear that which could end up going on fire. And I think all of these things come back together in that we want a city where people see themselves in that city, they can afford that city, and they can also actually have relationships and grow friendships across the 5 boroughs with people that they're currently just living alongside but can never actually interact with.
All right, this tree
Not
hugger
fun
shit is a
didn't
nice
even
way
read
to...
my message. I did read it.
to transition
read it out loud.
into my areas of
Read
DT,
every
concern.
message out
DT
loud.
is
Here
on
it
the
comes.
scene.
Zorhan, here it comes. I have three
Oh, boy.
buckets of concern. We'll move through them quickly.
Let's
Okay,
go.
you ready? Number one is, as I mentioned earlier, capitalism. You tweeted, "Taxation isn't theft, capitalism is." You also want to seize the means of produce production in New York City. I would like to hear your thoughts on both those topics.
Yeah, so I would
Oh,
say, judging me by my tweets sends me down a long road. Of
I have some
many
bad
tweets
tweets
that I've
too,
said.
but
Yes.
Is that like a how old is that tweet? I mean, it's probably a position that he still holds. I don't really like. Yeah, I don't have like any issue with someone like, just thinking or just like believing that capitalism is theft, profit is theft, Marxist labor theory value. Blah, 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 blah. If they, if they're the mayor and they can't do anything, and like their actual policy positions, they're like, all right. I mean, ideally they would have correct beliefs, aka my beliefs, but I don't have a big issue with that if they don't actually do much to address it. But I was 14 defense. Yeah, I know. I mean, you could. Unironically, he's young enough. Okay, he could do that. I was 20. I was into woke colleges. Okay, I was.
It's right there. You want to be mayor?
Yeah,
You're saying capitalism is theft. That seems bad to me.
What I've said over the course of this campaign is what I would focus on, and what my critiques of capitalism have been and continue to be is that this inequality is a feature of it, and if we do not have a focus on how we actually extend that understanding of dignity that every New Yorker deserves and make it a reality. If you talk to New Yorkers, you'll say, yeah, everyone deserves public education, being able to go to a library, sanitation. But then there are certain things that we agree are just as critical, and yet we allow people to be priced in.
What a nothing burger answer. What the fuck? Not addressing the allegations at all. Just move to... Which, I mean, as a politician, it's probably what you should do. You probably shouldn't actually talk about your old tweets. You should probably just, do what he didn't say. Well, let's focus on what I said. I'm saying, right now during my campaign, which is inequality bad.
Or out of those things, whether we're talking about housing, or we're talking about produce. And I think that comes to your second point, is our proposal to create...
The fuck it. Anyone that priced out of produce? I mean, like, we have food stamps for a reason, I guess. But, like, if you look at, like, the percentage of, percent of earnings spent on food, that has gone down continually in America over the last 30, 40, 50 years, basically whatever time span you want to look at it. It's like, I think it's at like 13% now.
Create a pilot program for a network of municipal-owned grocery stores. Now, this is a program, to be clear, that would be one store in each borough, 5 stores across New York City. It would cost $60 million.
5 communist stores. This might be an interesting test case to see how poorly it does.
You say $60 million?
5 stores across New York City. It would cost $60
5
million.
communist stores. This might be.
That seems... Can we maybe just do like 2 stores? I feel like the last time I economist writing every day, percent of income spent on food. Spending, yeah, I feel like this was pretty recent. Yeah, it's like 9% now. Can we try giving people money? True. Base. True. Dude, what is it? What's this position on land value tax? Okay, can we get land value tax? Can we get UBI funded land value tax in New York? What the fuck? Why isn't this happening? Why are we doing state-owned grocery stores and not land value tax? What the fuck? What the fuck?
Interesting test case to see how poorly it does compared to.
But look, I think no matter how you think about the idea,
yeah.
I do think that there should be more room for reasonable policy experimentation in our cities and in our country, where we actually
What's
test
up, Game Boy? Naman, how do you feel about Friedman's negative income tax? I like a negative income tax. I don't have super strong opinions on like whether a negative income tax or UBI is strictly preferable or anything. But like, I like a negative income tax. I like essentially universal welfare. I mean, the only difference between a negative income tax and UBI is just basically like on what end are you doing the sort of technical term for it, like on what end are you doing the income reduction. You can either give everyone a UBI, then just tax it back for the people who you don't want receiving it, or you can just only give the credit to people who you want to receive it, right? I don't have a strong opinion on which one is strictly preferable, but generally I like efficient things like that. At Nonfun, can I make deep fake porn of you using your thumbnail template? Okay, that was a message in Discord. That was not in chat or anything, but all right. What was I saying? I like efficient, non-bureaucratic cash transfers. Okay, I don't like our current welfare system. Yeah, or not that I don't think it's a net positive. I don't like the way it's implemented. Welfare is not efficient. I mean, I would agree with you in a sense that a lot of welfare in the U.S. is not as efficient as it could be. I think we can make it a lot more efficient, and I think a negative income tax would be an example of how to make it more efficient. Welfare is all consumption, not production. True. I have no one has considered this. I don't think you, Locals, when I say efficient, I basically just mean like what's the mainly what the like administrative cost is, right? And like how many people fall through the cracks, and then and then I'm trying to think of other metrics of efficiency, but I would say those are the two main ones. Is like, how many dollars how do we put into this program just go to paying government workers rather than actually being distributed to people who need benefits, and then how many people who are eligible for their benefits like actually get the benefits and things like that. Yeah, how much fraud is there and things like that. You couldn't have production without consumption. True. You've brain on negative polarization.
Our ideas, and if they work, they work, and if they don't work, c'est la vie. Then the idea was wrong. But the reason I think it would work is that this is less than half the cost of what the city's already spending on subsidizing corporate supermarkets through a program called City Fresh. The city said to
What
spend
the
about
fuck? Maybe I am in favor of. Oh my god, I can't type. Fucking city-owned grocery stores. What the fuck? I mean, like, why are they subsidizing stores and not people? Why don't wait? What the fuck? What type of fucking program? What? Hold on. What is this? Why is there no like Wikipedia page for it or anything? Thanks, contracts. Oh, that's the thing I just found, but I appreciate it. It's a program designed to promote access to healthy foods, particularly in underserved areas, by providing financial and zoning incentives to new grocery stores. This fiscal note brings together a range of qualitative research, analysis, and stakeholder conversations. Particularly, we found, no delay, we found a focus on job quality and community impact. Making buses free with just lots of crazies, no offense, going on a bus. I do actually, I do, like, unironically, I do think that's a concern. It's like, if you like literally make transit free and not just have like a small fee or whatever, like there obviously is a negative externality when the crazies okay on the buses, and that makes regular people not want to ride them. And so you kind of have like a vicious cycle there, but. I'm against centrally planned control on making murder, theft, etc. regulated and illegal, legalizing murder based. Section 4 concludes by offering two strategic strategies during the fresh program. The first is to prioritize applicants that meet specific criteria for job quality. This seems... What a fucking... Okay, listen, if we're doing the... Minority, oh my god. Okay, talk about fucking everything bagel liberalism and access. What the fuck? Sorry, in action. Jesus. Local hiring, minority and woman ownership. Sustainability and transit access. Oh my god. Although to be fair, I don't know if this is the case. But is Zorhan only going to make city-owned grocery stores with union labor and make sure they have 5% black employees? Or why not? I'm so confused what the point of this program even is. Why wouldn't they just do like their own local version of Snap? What type of fucking... Snap isn't even like the most efficient way that you could do it probably. Why wouldn't you just do like an income tax? It needs to be union built and run at a massive loss, and black people need to own it. Yeah, exactly. Okay, this seems unbelievably cringe. So, you know what? Maybe this is a step in the right direction, okay? Maybe I'm with Zorhan. What the fuck?
140 million through those subsidies,
Yeah.
and it doesn't come with a guarantee of cheaper groceries. It doesn't come with a requirement to accept SNAP or WIC or to engage in collective bargaining. And over the more than 10 years that it's been in operation, we see just a few more than a dozen stores that have actually received this. And ultimately, the reason I think this could work is it's worked in Kansas. There's been a feasibility study done in Chicago about the urgency of it and that it can actually be implemented, and that we are here in a city
Cool,
where
stay
if you're making
waiting.
40K a year or 200K a year, you'll still hear that.
Wikipedia breakfast for the children. Why do I care about this? Oh, the Black Panther program? Yeah, I've read a little bit about this. Why do I care about this right now?
Sticker shock of going to the grocery store,
Yeah.
of not knowing if you can actually afford the same thing.
I'm with you on the test. I'll just say I lived in Oakland in a low-income neighborhood in Oakland for a while, a couple years ago, and they put one of the community stores in. The city was subsidizing one of the kind of probably seems like similar to the City Fresh program that you're talking about, and it was like, it was a half mile from the Walmart, which had much cheaper food in the end, and like the place shut down, right? Like it just didn't. So sometimes, it's a question of whether or not you can actually make it cheaper, right? Because in a lot of times, some of the bigger chains like will have scale, and it might not work, right?
And I think when you're talking about Walmart, there's also larger national questions about laws that haven't been followed about ensuring that there's equal pricing across groceries and these kind of larger warehouse providers. But I think the second part of this argument.
Why do we need that? Why? Wait, is he? Walmart usually charges less than other people, right? So equal pricing would imply that they. What is he? I guess he's upset that Walmart is able to outcompete smaller local grocery stores or whatever. Is that what we're complaining about? That seems kind of stupid, but okay.
That sometimes gets lost is that even in a city like New York, there are food deserts that are disproportionately impacting Black and brown New Yorkers. Where I represent the largest public housing development in North America, Queensbridge Houses, in Western Queens. I have constituents who ask me, why can I find
Socialist
five fast
Obama
food
is going to
restaurants?
lose to a guy who sexually harassed at least 13 women. Maybe. I mean, only one poll had him winning, right? And I think Poly Market still says that he's at a 13% chance. He was up to 40% for a little bit, okay? But then the New York Times fucking wrote an article bashing him. So
In a 5-block radius, but I can't find a place where I can afford good produce. And I think that when you're starting with one in each borough, it also allows you to solve multiple problems at the same time. It's not to say that the vision here is we will not stop until there is a municipal owned grocery store in every block. It's that we're trying to solve a problem.
Got it. Okay.
And how do we do so?
Let me go to my number 2 issue of what concerns me about you. Other mayors of your ilk, whatever you want to call them, DSA, squattish, progressive, aren't exactly crushing it. Brandon Johnson is in Chicago. I've seen a poll this year with him at 6% approval and another one with him at 14% approval. So there's a lot of Democrats in Chicago that are pretty unhappy with him. It's not just the Republicans. What do you think about what Brandon Johnson's doing?
Almost not a sexual deviant. He's just Italian, anti-Italian bias. Okay, we need DEI for Italians. What the fuck? This is.
You have a model of a progressive mayor you think is doing a good job?
I think Mayor Wu has been doing a very good job in Boston, and she's someone who has been an inspiration of mine, even just in my focus on fare free bus transit. That was built out of, in part,
I read to be exiled to Staten Island.
We saw when she made
I don't live in. I wouldn't mind being exiled to Staten Island. I think I want to. Does Staten Island have transit? Actually, I actually don't. I actually don't know if Staten Island has transit because it's like the least dense part of New York, right? Listen, anywhere. I would love to live in. I need Zorhan to actually make New York affordable. Okay, I would love to live somewhere that has public transit because I hate driving. I wouldn't even mind going to Staten Island. Okay, if it meant I could walk to work. What is this? Affirmative action plans. It said I'm covering Italian Americans as for what the fuck? Let's go. It's real. Let's go. Let's go. I think I'm a little bit Italian. Can I? Nafan, you're my favorite Zionist-controlled neo-libtard centrist cuck. I'm not a centrist. Never change, regardless of your haters who are constantly growing, in the likelihood that you will go nowhere in life. I and barely anyone else still support. Let's go. Let's go. This is true.
Boston. One of them was Route 28. By making it free, they decreased the dwell time at each bus stop by 23%. So it was showcasing again that you do this.
About the China 2020 stuff? Not yet, Renfield. I will soon. Probably either after this video or after reading something else. I don't know what order I'm going to do stuff.
It's not just economic relief; it's also the speed of this bus, the public safety of this bus. And to Cameron's point earlier, I am 2 years younger than Mayor Wu was when she ran.
Send me. I only have the one article so far, Renfield. Send me anything you want me to read. It'll take all of 5 minutes. Yeah, from what I've seen, like it's just Cash Patel saying like hey, China had some dumbass plot that didn't work, and I'm Kash Patel, and you can, and this is, and yep, China bad. I thought there was way more, lol. Yeah.
And for that same position. And I think when we're thinking about a new generation of leadership, having a model that works is important. The other point that I would make is that oftentimes critiques of someone on the left's administration is seen as if it is one that has to be, that is reflective of an inability of that ideological bend to govern. And yet when we have someone so proudly considered a centrist like Eric Adams, his failures are considered to be personal ones as opposed to political failures of his ideology.
Eric somehow is still more popular than Brandon Johnson, which is concerning, I would think, if you're Brandon.
Eric is a very talented communicator.
He's the mayor of the Tel Aviv of America. Okay, sorry.
We'll watch it. Tel Aviv sensitive. We're gonna get to Israel next. It's the last final topic. But just really quick on Brandon Johnson. I just want to give one specific example. Something that worries me about progressive type mayors. Right?
Please.
So we were talking about housing earlier, right? And so in March, Brandon Johnson tweeted that Chicago invested $11 billion to build 10,000 more units of affordable housing. That's $1 million a unit. Like, that's just way more expensive than market rate housing. And one of the reasons was, if you look at how they did the projects, they had these goals, and if you to get a project, right? Okay, you've seen this, right? So it's like you got 10 points if it's green. That's good. I like green. You got 11 points if it was BIPOC. You got another 11 points if there were women on the development.
Yeah, I've read the same Marginal Revolution blog post. I think I literally, or maybe it was I saw it in the Marginal Revolution blog. It might have been an excerpt from some more popular like news article or something, but I know exactly where it's fucking quoting from. Yeah, that shit was wild.
Development team. I like BIPOCs and women building things, but like you only got 3 points if you contained cost, and so it just feels like there's like this priority miss sometimes.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
With progressive folks who are like so like want to keep everybody in the coalition happy over, getting doing affordable housing or whatever for working class folks in the city. What do you say to that critique?
I think that it is not a model that is working to its intent. The intent is to build as much affordable housing, and if that is the amount of money it costs to build, then you will simply not be able to build to the extent that's required.
The Staten Island
And
ferry is a
it's
free
interesting.
25-minute ride that
What the fuck? Oh, it's just Staten Island ferry. I don't know if I want to take a ferry every day. But...
that cost per unit that you're highlighting is one of a critique of a public sector position. And then also here in New York City, we've had a very different style of incentivizing the production of affordable housing through tax incentives for developers that has seen similar costs of more than $1 million oftentimes for the creation of an affordable unit. And I think that this is also where earlier in the conversation we were having, on the left, we have to care about excellence in public service, because if our whole vision for affordable housing is unable to actually match the scale of this crisis, then it's not worth its salt. And to me, I think we also have to ask ourselves.
Yeah, only 3 points are awarded based on project cost. 15% awarded based on a makeable development team. Extra 4% handed out to nonprofit developers. Incentivizing black and BIPOC. Yeah.
Ourselves larger questions of how do we drive down the cost of so much of what we build, because it's very tempting to look at the Second Avenue subway being the most expensive subway mile in the history of the world and say, oh, this is because of labor costs, when in reality...
What's up, Ricky? Ain't no Funhouse the Zorhan interview. It's been good so far. He's obviously doing his best to appeal to people like me. Okay, that's the whole reason he came on this podcast. I've liked most of his answers so far.
Paris has just as strong, if not stronger, labor unions, and their cost per mile is significantly lower. And I think a lot of this comes
from 100 consultants getting paid.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. In the first phase of the Second Avenue subway, we spent more on consulting than construction. And I think this comes back to there's an addiction we have to contracting, to consulting. But I think also what we need to do.
They have luxury neighborhoods on Staten Island? I don't think so. I think that Staten Island is the least luxury place in New York. There might be some luxury fucking condos there or something, but
more of is say that this is the amount of money we're spending, and we have to work backwards from this. How do we?
No fucking way. It's decades old pledge. When did they start doing fucking DI for Italians?
Ensure that we are actually able to innovate in the public sector.
1976. What the fuck?
The mini fridge in the United States exists because NYCHA, New York City Housing Authority, put out an RFP for a specific size fridge that could fit in a public housing unit. That is also a story of innovation, but that story is lost when the larger story is one of betraying the hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers who live in that housing in substandard conditions.
Last one, then we'll look good twink, close it out. All right.
Namvan, did you debate with Fabian Liberty? How did you debate with Fabian Liberty go? Which one? I debated him like 3 times. 4, depending on what you count as a debate. I think I had 2 one-on-ones with him, and then like I've been on a panel with him 3 or 4 times.
Right. So we get to the Israel. We mentioned the Islamophobia. obviously we also have to be worried about the uptick in anti-Semitism. And there's one thing in particular that frustrates me when talking with folks on the left, and that is like downplaying this conversation about how there obviously is anti-Semitism on the right, but there's anti-Semitism coming from the left and coming from these protests. And one example I think of is this phrase, globalize the intifada, which is a very popular phrase at protests on the left. And maybe some people say that phrase with good intent, but there's certainly some people who are saying that phrase with violent intent. So I wonder what you think about that, about the phrase globalized intifada and what we've seen as some anti-Semitism coming from.
I don't know. I just watch your streams. I have you muted right now. Just read chat. Okay, babe.
I think the first thing, as you were saying, is anti-Semitism is a real issue in our city, and it's one that can be captured in statistics, the ones that you're citing. It's also one that you will feel in conversations you have with Jewish New Yorkers across the city. And I remember one conversation I had with a friend of mine after the horrific war crime of October 7th. He was telling me that he went for Shabbat services at his temple.
This answer is crazy.
And he was facing forward when he heard the door open, and he turned back with a chill going up his spine because he didn't know who was coming in. And that's more than a year ago. And then just a few weeks ago, I had a conversation with a Jewish man in Williamsburg who told me that the same door he would keep unlocked for decades is one that he now locks out of a fear of what could happen in his own neighborhood. And I think that this is something that has to be the focus of the next mayoral administration, is not just talking about it, but tackling it. And these are the conversations that have informed our commitment around increasing funding for anti-hate crime programming by 800% in our Department of Community Safety. And to the question of language that's being used, I am someone who I would say am less comfortable with the idea of banning the use of certain words, and that I think it is more evocative of a Trump-style approach to.
I don't think it was suggesting banning the use of certain words. I think he probably just wanted you to say, yeah, that phrase is cringe. I don't support the people who are doing that.
How to lead a country. And I think especially when we've seen...
Sure, but like, does that just make you uncomfortable? Like the phrase globalized intifada, from the river to the sea, does that make you uncomfortable? Or do you think
okay, those are different. Those are super different.
They're not
those
really.
Like different genres.
I'm sorry, I'm asking Zorhan. Then they're not really different to me. And to some people, they're not different.
You know, I know people for whom those things mean very different things. And to me, ultimately, what I hear in so many is a desperate desire for equality and equal rights in standing up for Palestinian human rights. And I think what's difficult also is that the very word has been used by the Holocaust Museum when translating the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising into Arabic, because it's a word that means struggle.
Sure.
And as
okay, dog.
a Muslim man who grew up post 9/11, I'm all too familiar in the way in which Arabic words can be twisted, can be distorted, can be used to justify any kind of meaning. Yep. And I think that's where it leaves me with a sense that what we need to do is focus on keeping Jewish New Yorkers safe, and the question of the permissibility of language is something that I haven't ventured into.
All right, Cameron, close us out. Good twink. Give us something nice.
While we're on Israel, I want to do 2 quick hot takes. This is a new segment called Hot Takes with Cam and Zorhan. Zoran's going to rate my hot takes. Number 1, I find myself talking about the women and children in Palestine who are being indiscriminately killed, and I try to reason with people and talk to them about what's going on and tell them how tragic it is, and I'm always talking about these innocent women and children. And I feel like it's kind of fucked up that I say women and children as if it's okay that the men are dying. And I feel like when I say it like that, I'm sort of playing into the hand of the people who want me to be hateful and fearful and who want me to think that every guy who's getting fucking killed by these bombs is a terrorist. So I don't really know how to move forward with it, because saying women and children is a way to get some sympathy from people who otherwise are not sympathetic towards the issue. But also, I don't want to be part of this like general vibe that, oh, okay, but when the men die, that's just how it is.
The men are mostly Hamas. Well, I mean, the issue is obviously like we don't even really know if that is true. Like, there's no way to tell if that is true, because like obviously the Ministry of Health data doesn't distinguish between military and civilian. So
that's my take.
I think about this often, and I think about the way in which certain words convey innocence and certain words convey almost a complicity. And there was even a time during the height of drone strikes where our government would define military combatants as being military-aged men. We're talking about any man between the ages of 18 and I think around 50 or so. And you are just assumed to be guilty by virtue of being in that age range and being a man. And I think that what you're saying also speaks to the fact that humanity has to be something we give to all people, and that also means going beyond just the easy aspect of who we should grieve and who we believe in some sense is actually beyond worthy of that same grief.
Cameron, we're over, and I'm pulling rank. We need to get him on the Never Trumper thing. We forgot. We're over time. We have to get him on Trump. This is the home of the Never Trumpers. If I'm going to be bad cop, I need to also let you cook. So can we close on that? I mean, Donald Trump is fucking militarizing our cities. He's just put out a bleat yesterday saying that he wants to send more ICE agents into New York, militarize New York. You're mayor next year, and he's trying to send the troops into New York to hassle Americans. Hassle immigrants, for that matter. What are you going to do about it?
I think we have to be able to call it what it is, which is authoritarianism, right? What we're seeing in Los Angeles, what we're even seeing in that military parade.
I mean, it's the governor who has to actually approve the deployment of the National Guard, right? I don't know if he can do anything about that as mayor, but
endless examples of Donald Trump seeking to move beyond being a president and
ChatGPT
start
response real.
to thinking of this country as if it is simply his playground, for him to embark upon his wildest fantasies about being a dictator of this nation. And part of it is being able to call it what it is. Part of it is also being able to actually stand up and fight back. And one of the things is understanding the law as something that has to be followed, not just the suggestion that Trump sees it. And that also means investing in the city's law department. We are 200 lawyers down from where we were pre-pandemic. And getting back to that level and also ensuring pay parity for those lawyers across city agencies is part of what could allow this city to do what Gavin Newsom did, right? To actually pursue legal means and legal recourse. And I think what's terrifying in this moment is we have a president for whom even that legal recourse still leaves the question of whether he follows it, right? There's a New Yorker right now who's in an ICE detention facility hundreds of miles away, Mahmoud Khalil, who no crime has actually been stated. It's been said that his detention is unlawful. He continues to be in that facility.
Insane.
And I think what is so terrifying in this moment is you have a Trump administration that is weaponizing the very real issue of anti-Semitism as a pretext for throwing students into prison for the crime of having written an op-ed. And that's what is so important in having a mayor who will stand up for our Constitution, stand up for our city, and will actually also start to unabashedly stand up for that which has made us safe, which is laws like sanctuary city policies, which are providing legal representation to immigrant New Yorkers in detention proceedings. Because if we all care, as we said we did, about keeping families together, these are the legal mechanisms by which we can actually deliver that.
Zorhan, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a hoot. You'll have to come on soon because I want to ask you what you would do as mayor about Spider-Man, who people love, but he is a criminal.
I'm also sending you this link about LCD sound system. I found it. Pitchfork. Please. If you're a millennial mayor needs to have the millennial band like putting some music in the subways. This feels like a good priority.
I appreciate it. I want to say that I equally appreciate GT and BT. This was a great time, and I would love to come back on whenever.
Thanks so much, man.
Right.
I mean, he had one cringe answer. Jesus, did we really have to? Do we really have to go straight to the fucking Warsaw Ghetto, man? But all right, I'll accept it. Okay, goddamn, dude, this cow is actually like retarded. What the fuck are you doing? Oh my god. Not if I'm when we become based, trad, and anti-Semitic like Casey Lee's chat. I mean, I share a lot of chatters with Casey, so I'm sure some of them are in here, man. But Jesus, are you fucking kidding me? Hello, please, hello. Okay, goodbye. Yep, okay, we're done. Okay. Okay. We probably need to read on the China thing, and not sure there is much to read on that, but no. China election stuff. Reniel, send anything you want me to read. I don't think you said there's not much to read, but did I put it in my React today thing? She'll ban you if you're anti-Semitic, though. Yeah, right. I don't have the Hassan protection. Okay. I didn't put it in my thing. Hold on, it's in here. This is the article I was sent by Gibbs, but FBI delivers intel to Congress on alleged Chinese plot to interfere in the 2020 election. FBI Director Kash Patel forked over a trove of documents to Congress detailing an alleged Chinese campaign to meddle in the 2020 election that involved thousands of bogus U.S. driver's licenses. Precise details about the alleged effort are murky, but a confidential source alleged the Chinese planned to use those licenses for thousands of mail-in votes to benefit former Vice President Joe Biden. A spokesperson for the FBI, FBI Honcho, explained to the Post. Authorities had caught wind of the alleged plot around August 2020, but intelligence reports on it were recalled for reasons that aren't fully clear, the spokesperson added. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol seized almost 20,000 fake licenses about around that time. Okay, so they seized all of them. Good to know. What the fuck? Final one to swing states: Arizona, Georgia won more than 10,000, 12,000 votes respectively. And President Donald Trump's margin of defeat in Wisconsin is more than 20,000 votes. Patel classified the intelligence report. Declassified it and sent it over to Senate Judiciary Committee. Chairman Chuck Grassley for additional vetting. The FBI has located documents which detail alarming allegations related to the 2020 U.S. election, including allegations of interference by the CCP, Patel revealed on X. I've immediately declassified the materials and turned the documents over to Chairman Grassley for further review. Grassley had raised concerns that the intelligence wasn't fully probed, despite evidence of bogus U.S. driver's license, and pushed for the Bureau to revisit the matter. Okay, awesome. Thanks to the oversight work in partnership with Chairman Grassley, the FBI continues to provide unprecedented transparency at the People's Bureau. Patel told Just the News, which first reported on this story. To that end, we have located documents Chairman Grassley requested. Specifically, these include allegations of plans from the CCP to manufacture fake driver's license and ship them to the U.S. for the purpose of facilitating fraudulent mail-in ballots, allegations which well substantiated or abruptly recalled and never disclosed to the public. A somewhat new confidential source had tipped off authorities at a plot. The extent to which the FBI took any steps to counter the scheme is not at the time it's not fully clear. Chairman Grassley is in receipt of an FBI document responsive to a request he made based on legally protected whistleblower disclosures. The document alleges serious national security concerns that needed to be fully investigated by the FBI, a Grassley spokesperson told the Post. Oops, I'm not going to highlight that. Grassley is requesting additional documentation from the FBI to verify the production and is urging the FBI to do its due diligence to investigate why the document was recalled, who recalled it, and inform the American people of its findings. Following the FBI delivery of its documents, Grassley sent another request to Patel seeking internal communications of at least 3 officials who were involved with the decision-making process regarding the intelligence information report. Lastly, explain why the FBI under your predecessor required the original IIR to be destroyed, whether this practice is consistent with FBI's past and current practice, and how it comports with federal record preservation, Grassley added in a letter. Wow. This is the place that first reported on it. I doubt they have anything different, but I feel like Gibbs and Pentuple are 100% going to complain about they didn't even investigate it or whatever the fuck. They're gonna say that. If the documents are declassified, do we have access to them, or is it just like the fucking congressman can now look at them? Agents of the Bureau that do intelligence have been fully vetted, and instead, which just dismissed, even though there was evidence of fake licenses. Intelligence report was recalled within a few weeks, and the allegation was investigated on the grounds that the source needed to be re-interviewed. 80% chance. Maybe 80% is too high. Okay. What's the chances the fucking source is a Russian? It's another Russian paid asset, bro. Just like the person who started the Hunter Biden investigation. What's up?
Hello. First, what is that? What is the app that you're using to like highlight text in the article?
It's just called Web Highlighter. It's a just extension.
There.
Yeah.
How far are you?
I read 2 articles, the one that Gibbs sent and then the one that from the Justin News, which reported the story initially. So I think I know basically all there is to know.
I haven't read the Just the News one. I just read the New York Post one, but
It doesn't like say anything different really. Like it just
I didn't figure.
it's like
I don't. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about this, like, oh, this is a bombshell. Now we know that the election was rigged or whatever. But like, there's actually no new evidence of anything, and any
yeah.
application that anybody tries to make of it is just bullshit. Like, okay, let's say that. So first of all, we're like a billion degrees of separation away, because the claim is that, you know, all of these fake votes were cast because of China, but the only thing, like, material thing that we have is like 20,000 driver's licenses seized at the border.
Yeah, that were seized, so they clearly weren't.
Yeah, that were
used, but,
seized
yeah.
that didn't even get in, and then even if those 20,000 driver's licenses got in, like you'd still have to go through like 5 different processes in order to register to vote with them. And
Right.
if anybody alleges that, like, oh yeah, that happened, we just don't know of it, then like, where are all of these fake ballots? There were like a billion audits. None of them found like giant dumps of fake votes.
I know. Yeah.
If we get a report on it, cool, I guess. It's good to know how, you know, foreign powers are interfering with our elections and stuff, but like, this is nothing. I don't know.
Although they're definitely going to complain because it says here, oh, you know, the intelligence reports were not fully corroborated or fully investigated, and instead were recalled from intelligence agencies at about the time that then FBI Director Chris Wray testified there were no known plots of foreign interference ahead of the 2020 election. So I feel like they're going to complain. They're going to allege some deep state conspiracy there.
I'd have to see. Does like one CHS? Well, first of all, I'd have to see when the ballots were seized at the border.
Yeah.
And if there's even, is there any tie to China in the driver's license that they seized, or is that just a coincidence?
I think all it said is that it's a possible corroboration of the report. Official said.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So
you know.
probably not even a direct tie to China in those being seized. I don't know if it's like standard FBI policy to open an investigation based off of one CHS report. My guess is that's probably not the bar for opening an investigation like that. But especially when like,
it did say the source they had to be re-verified or whatever.
Right.
And that's
yeah.
part of the reason which I was joking about this. What's the chance? Okay, it's a paid fucking Russian asset. That was the source for the
like Burisma.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It's just kind of strange how the CHS reporting about the Proud Boy interactions and about the coordination surrounding the Capitol, those don't get really taken into account. But now CHS reporting is super, super important. I don't know. And also, like, oh my God, I don't think you said the Gibbs panel is just going to be against like what, Gibbs, Pentuple, Tyler.
I don't know for sure, but typically it's going to be. I mean, Gibbs is the moderator, but I'm sure he'll
Yeah, quote,
interfere a little
unquote.
bit, which is fine. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But presumably Tyler and Pentuple are going to be there. I don't know what other liberals are necessarily going to be there.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're stupid enough to bring up like the FBI's agents in the crowd thing or whatever, but it's been so weird seeing people, because like the only evidence of like FBI agents being in the crowd at January 6th is like Ray Epps, which is bullshit, and then the one report that said there was like 26 CHSs on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And no one understands what a CHS is whenever a report like that comes out, and they think that they're like fucking Men in Black FBI agents in the crowd. But now that we have just a random informant about the Chinese government, now I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I actually haven't seen anybody relatively half serious talk about this, so I don't even know how crazy.
Right.
I have no idea how to gauge, because Pentuple is just hard to read. I don't think Tyler's stupid, so I think his is probably just going to be, like you said, just like posturing at the FBI not opening an investigation. But
there's going to be whataboutisms for the Mueller report. I know for certain, bro. It's going to happen. It's going to be.
You're probably
which I probably
going
need
to
to
see the same
read
whataboutisms
the fucking...
that you get from the Burisma talks too, where it's like, yeah, look how easy it was to open an investigation into Trump, whereas, there was no investigation started by for Burisma or yeah, I don't know. I mean, I also don't know. The problem is that there's just no fucking information. Like everything that Cash gave, or everything that I've read that Cash gave, maybe there's like a big treasure trove that I'm missing. It feels like unfinished. Like there's nothing to actually dig your teeth into, because there's like any good question that you could even get from this of like, oh, well, why didn't they open the investigation? Like, what else did they know? Was it just this report? What even was all included in the report? It just isn't answered. Like, whether or not they should have or shouldn't have opened an investigation is kind of pending what, like, threat level it could have, like, it seemed to present, or, like, the reliableness of the confidential human source, or...
Yeah.
Or the fact that, like, I'm sure that there was already like a fuck ton of manpower being diverted to a billion different other things to investigate in 2020, because like 2020 was one of the most litigated elections that you could ever fucking think of. So I'm sure that the FBI's hands were pretty, like, they were pretty busy around 2020, I'm sure as well. So I don't know if they would even have the time or if it would be smart to like waste the resources researching this claim from this random dude with no provable corroboration.
That's another thing, is the which I don't know how long we'll specifically stay on this topic, but the title of the group chat thing is Jan 6 Justified, and it's like none of the, like, if you asked anyone on the ground, at January 6th, I don't think any of them would have said that they thought China was mailing in fake driver's licenses. That was never a claim. That it's not like, there's no way that you could. I don't know if we can like retroactively claim like it was justified, because even if it turned out that 20,000 votes or whatever were faked, which might not even be enough to flip the election depending on where those votes would have been.
Probably not.
Like now all of a sudden
there could be
the rioters who had no knowledge of that are justified. But
there could be an argument that you could make where it was like, oh, that election actually was stolen and they have to, go in and fix it. But like, with the information that we have, this doesn't even prove fake votes. Not only does it like kind of spuriously prove a conspiracy because we have like shockingly little information about it, but it doesn't prove any fake votes. It doesn't even prove any fake driver's licenses made it into the country.
I know.
So yeah,
Which,
this is
by the way, I
just,
also
joking.
I don't know if this will come up, but I know that Pentuple like thinks that Pence like does just legitimately have the power to unilaterally decide the election. Like,
I mean,
I've
hey,
I've seen him say.
If he thinks that, he sure is sparing with who he likes to make those takes to.
I mean, I watched him on. I watched like the opening of him talking to Wick, and he was like,
Oh my God.
the protesters on January 6th were protesting for Pence to
legitimate
exercise legitimate authority. And it's like, okay, dog, like no, there's been like subsequent cases about it. Or I think even before it, right? Because there was that Wisconsin v. Pence case or whatever. Where I think Wisconsin voters said that they were suing Pence to like not count their votes or whatever, and that judge obviously said like this constitutional theory is fucking absurd. And then there was another like
that.
civil case afterwards. I think it's probably in the Jan 6 document. Yeah, plaintiff theory that all these laws are unconstitutional and the court shouldn't. They're talking about the Electoral Count Act and I guess other laws, and that the court should instead require state legislators themselves to certify every presidential election lies somewhere between a willful misreading of the Constitution and fantasy. I feel like the Jan 6 committee report quotes this.
I had a short. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was also this was also mentioned in the Jan 6 report, I know, the Eastman v. Thompson case, which I think was a civil case afterwards where they ruled on it, and they were like, yeah, it's obviously absurd to say that the vice president can just, like, unilaterally decide the election.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, like, obviously there's the quotes from Eastman saying, like, yeah, this proposal would lose SCOTUS.
Yeah, I
9-0.
know. Yeah.
But yeah, I had a little convo, quote unquote, with Tyler about it on X, and there was a pretty crazy conclusion there, but that was fine. Yeah, I have no idea where a conversation with Pentuple or involving Pentuple is going to go with January 6th, because he like everything short of burnt the bridge with me because I was having a conversation with Tyler about it. I didn't even mention him.
Did he even make any? I didn't see him actually make any arguments in that
he just told me to go to
convo.
law
He just
school.
said like, "You're not a lawyer, dog. I can't.
Yep.
You're in fake law school. Like, what are you talking about? Like."
Well, it was really weird too because he had been leaving comments on my YouTube Shorts too. Like there was the one short that I posted where some dude said the only reason why SCOTUS said that Garcia had a withholding order from El Salvador was because Boasberg was feeding him information. It was like, well, Boasberg wasn't even the judge in this case, so how the fuck would he be feeding SCOTUS information on a case that he's not involved in? And then Pentuple left a comment on that short saying like, oh, you didn't go to law school and I don't understand like why you feel so comfortable oversimplifying these topics. And I'm like, is there more complexity to the idea that a judge can just feed random fucking information to SCOTUS? Like, is that the part in fucking law school that I missed? Because I don't think that that's a thing. 90% sure. But hey, that's why you have lawyers in these communities that are able to explain very complex legal theory to laymen.
I know. Oh, what's up?
I just wanted to ask this layman where he gets off arguing with a lawyer who's completed law school
Allegedly.
Allegedly is right. How come I randomly click on non-fun stream and they're talking about pentuple? You two are so smart. Don't you have anything better to talk about?
Well, no, it's because
I'm talking to him
potential
tomorrow about
panel.
yeah.
Oh, what about Gen 6?
Kind of about the. I don't know if you've seen this. You know, Kash Patel has handed over some documents to Congress saying that the FBI had like some intel on fucking interviewed one guy who fucking said that China was trying to interfere in the 2020 election by getting people fake driver's licenses, and we know that around the same time, with no concrete evidence that these are actually from China, that there were 20,000 fake driver's licenses seized, and you know, so
well, I don't know what
if
is other.
Yeah, I know. Even I haven't. Randall mentioned this earlier. It doesn't seem like any serious person is talking about this because it's a big nothing burger.
Is his name Ray Epps?
Yeah.
True.
It's just gonna be him again.
Dude, it's gonna. I'm telling you, it's gonna be another fucking Russian source that they fucking interviewed for this, for this thing. But
right.
yeah, and then it's like even if people got fake driver's licenses, which seems unlikely, there's obviously more.
This is what you're
steps to
debating over?
voting,
Just
like
this part?
The title of the group is Jan 6 Justified.
What?
I might be able to at least pick off, because I'm not going to be able to make it for the Thursday panel, so I didn't even bother reaching out to Gibbs. But I might try and at least pick off like a 1v1 conversation. Well, I probably can't get one with Pentuple, but maybe with like Tyler or whoever else on the right on that panel. We'll see.
Good luck with the Tyler one.
I think we're still good. I don't think there's any reason that.
I'm
that
worried
I don't
that
know.
I'm really worried that he came down so hard initially just because he knows that we talk, which would make me feel like shit.
I don't think
He can fucking
I don't
hate
even-
me, but
I don't think Tyler came down hard on me at all.
Wait,
we
am I
just had,
misremembering?
like-
Was it Pentuple that came down super hard?
Yeah, like me and Tyler were just
Okay,
having like a
I
sassy
apologize,
back and
Tyler.
forth.
Okay,
we were
I
just having, like, a
apologize,
sassy
Tyler.
Back and forth. There was like a couple
Fuck
like
you, but I don't wanna
ricochet
lie.
shots, but like it was nothing serious.
Okay,
Pentuple was
then-
the one who
Oh,
came
I
in
know-
and
hold on,
derailed the whole
Renio,
thing.
I know
He
what
was-
Okay, was
I
that the one
figured
that
it
I got tagged in? Because I know he tagged me in some shit. Keep my fucking name out of your wife's mouth or whatever Will Smith said. I don't know.
What's up, not fun?
Renil, I figured out it's not. This is the case I was talking about. It's not mentioned in the Jan 6th report, but it is mentioned in the January 5th memo from Greg Jacob, Pence's legal counsel to Pence, where he says Eastman's decision. Hold on, let me fucking pull it up again. Eastman's proposals
Was
also
this-
in tension with the DC District Court decision in the Wisconsin Voters Alliance litigation, which held that plaintiffs' theory that the Electoral Count Act is unconstitutional and that the court should instead require state legislators themselves to certify every presidential election lies somewhere between a willful misreading of the Constitution and fantasy. Yeah.
Fire. That's a fire quote. Have you looked through Lost Not Stolen by chance?
I have that linked. I've not read it or anything because I know
Okay,
it's
yeah,
like
just
50
just have that
or
on
100 pages
hand
long or whatever,
because
yeah.
they go way more in depth into like particular claims than I had expected until I read it. Like if anybody just brings up some like bullshit claim of fraud, just like Control F through that thing and it probably covers it.
What is this? Lost
Yeah.
Not Stolen? I've never heard of this. This is interesting.
Yeah, there's like
It's just
there was like a committee of never.
Were these like
Trumper-
Hananiah types that like hate Trump or what's going on?
Yeah, kinda, and they just went through
Okay.
all of the election lawsuits. A couple of them were, I'm pretty sure, elected officials, and they just went through the election challenge lawsuits. And
I
just
see
gave,
so many numbers in this. That's so good.
yeah, just get
Like
gave
for like the
allegation of
observers
the
and
lawsuit.
shit. Yeah.
hmm Gave the allegation of the lawsuit, gave like the history of the lawsuit, talked about how
Okay.
it was.
I was on my way to bed, but I'm gonna read this
shit.
tomorrow.
Yeah, it's
God,
good.
I'm randomly
I
hopped in for that. Yeah, no, that's crazy.
I only read the sections on Georgia and Arizona, but I mean, I'm sure. Excuse me. I'm sure it's gonna be more or less the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's only 70 pages too. That's not even that long. Senator John Danforth, Senator Gordon H. Smith, and then a bunch of judges. Looks like at least 4. Wow. Okay. Interesting.
And it like quotes.
I thought this
heavily
said
from-
Mitchell McConnell for a second.
That would have been
The
fire.
Honorable Michael W. McConnell, not Mitch McConnell. That would be fire. I was almost surprised not to see Chuck Schumer's name on here. It is, after all, a very strongly worded letter against Trump. I found the thread, by the way. This is the one where Pentuple said, you said, can you name a single argument I made that I represented? And he said, yes, he could, and then didn't put one.
My goat.
Which was fire. That was a fire response.
Owned.
No, it's funny because every disagree. I think it sucks because I didn't want that bridge to burn. Like, I still feel like there is value in talking to Pentuple. I think he just realizes that it is valuable for me, so he just wanted to not engage in
Are
anything
you
ever.
sure?
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, but I think the problem is that, you know, he just wanted to burn it because he realized that there was value in it for me. And, you know, you don't
Okay,
want
what you really gotta do-
non-lawyer to make a lawyer.
Well, what you really got to do is you got to go to law school now. And you got to go to an actual law school, not a degree mill, which he's basically admitted to at this point. Weirdly,
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. Like, the last time I made the University of American Samoa joke, I'm pretty sure that was like the immunity debate. And he went, well,
He
yeah,
said I
you're not
went,
that
you know,
far
somewhere
off. I'm
like
like,
that.
why would you say that? Okay. No, you got to go to Harvard, Ringold. That big thick law degree. And non-fine, you got to get an econ degree. Fuck, he could literally not talk to you then. You just own him.
True. That's what's so crazy. We talked about this like literally last time I streamed. Is that like he for some reason has this like law is like sacred. Okay, it can only be talked about by lawyers, but he can talk about economics. Okay,
Sure.
he can talk about philosophy. He can talk about everything everything else. It's like what are you? What are you
it's really
doing,
strange
dog?
that he has a degree that him and like all of the elected officials have a law degree, an econ degree, an environmental science degree, and a philosophy degree.
That's
All
crazy.
from the University of American Samoa. They're like $50 DLCs you can add on to your diploma. All right, I'm actually going to go to bed. Have a wonderful night, gentlemen.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry to derail. I love you both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish you luck, but there's literally nothing. There's nothing. It's going to be just another. It's actually probably going to be much more boring than any other J6 conversation because you're just going to be talking about the stupid conspiracy farming, and it's not going to be anything interesting about anything outside of the Capitol riot and like all of the interesting parts of January 6th. They're not going to be able to talk about. So
Right.
have fun with that.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Also, we need to do your note organization. I didn't forget.
Yeah, sort through my notes.
Didn't forget. I'm going through and reading some Burisma stuff. Also, I heard you and David talking up the Road to Serfdom book, so I'm going through that.
I need to read it too. I haven't actually read it. I just know about it.
I'm holding up my end of
Holy
the
shit,
bargain.
vegan with the $15.
I'm
Hell
a
yeah.
econ guy
Don't worry,
now,
vegan. I have
because
the.
I'm 15 pages in.
Hell yeah. Damn. Outpacing me. Goddamn.
So yeah, maybe I'll be able to level with you on some level, maybe. Then once we go through your notes, I can just absorb your power and we'll be good.
That's true. That's true.
Well, good luck with your reading. Good luck with the debate tomorrow. I'll be watching.
Oh, it's gonna be painful, but yeah.
Have fun. Good luck.
Thanks. Appreciate it. I think my headphones are like pretty badly desynced. What are you debating tomorrow? Whether Jan 6 was justified on the basis that Kash Patel found some fucking FBI documents that said China attempted to maybe interfere. Well, the FBI interviewed one person who said China attempted to interfere in the election by getting people fake driver's licenses. Sounds like an ad hoc justification. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, even if I grant that, like, literally China stole the election or whatever, that was never an allegation like made at the time. What video can I play without getting copy strikes so I can resync my headphones and test if they're resynced?
Burn. No? Well, I can't.
Okay, we're good. I don't know if it's the Bluetooth of my headphones that's fucking broken or if it's the Bluetooth in my computer. Dude, fake speak who's back there? What? Huh? The fake countries occupying the territories of Kurdistan. Two of those are fake countries. What the fuck? Those are. Alright, I don't know. I don't want to put this in studies because it's not really a study. It's like a fucking paper, but I don't really know what's this. We might not even. Might just go through and highlight it. We'll see. Nalfan is a Waymophobe, but also a Paleo-Christian-phobe and Quran-ophobe. Insane. True. I wear it as a badge, okay? Hell yeah. President Trump has stated many stated many. Why can't I highlight? What the fuck? Don't do this to me. Is this one of those fake PDFs that's fake? No, it can't be. Because I was highlighting it earlier. In my thing. In my browser. So it's got to be a real PDF. Or not, okay. I guess but I was. What the fuck? Oh, that's a lot of work. I don't want to do that. Am I going insane? Okay, I guess that is a fucking fake PDF. Okay, kill me. Is there a real PDF I can find? Is there a DOI link I can copy? Or not notifications. My bookmarks. Yeah, it's a fucking fake PDF. Okay. The entire volume is going to be the same fucking thing, isn't it? Can I like... Hold on, what if I open it in Adobe Acrobat? And then, like, can I convert it to a PDF? Like a good PDF? Oh my god, I hate Adobe Acrobat so much. Okay, never mind. Fuck that plan. Okay, we're just doing... We're just dealing with it, I guess. Okay. But I want to highlight it. I can put fucking sticky notes down or whatever. Okay, awesome. Okay. President Trump has stated many goals to justify his trade war. He has argued that tariffs on imports produced leverage that the U.S. can use to reduce inflows of fentanyl and illegal immigrants to negotiate better trade deals. He has argued that tariffs will advance U.S. national security and economic resilience and be a source of revenue for the federal treasury. But the two most prominent arguments the president has advanced, both during the early months of his second term, and for decades prior, are that protectionism will reduce the trade deficit and increase manufacturing employment. This chapter focuses on the latter claim. If you really want, a lot of times authors publish articles which are behind a paywall. We'll give them for free if you email it. Well, it's not paywalled. It's just the PDF of it. It's a I don't know what to call it. It's like a PDF, but it's actually just like an image. So none of the text is actually highlightable or like selectable. It's just this is basically just a fucking JPEG that I'm looking at. So I can't actually like highlight it or do anything with it. And that's what's annoying. And I don't think there's any way to fix it. JPEG rise up. Because I'm getting it from the author. Like this is a free thing, but JPEG to whatever format. Hold on. PDF to, or can't select text in PDF convert. Run ORC. What is ORC or OCR? PDF converter. Make PDF searchable. Okay. Don't worry, guys. I love PDF is figuring it out for me. So, exclamation point, Instagram in the chat. If this works, you owe me $15. I don't know if that's how that works, buddy. Okay, check this out. If you get a virus, I'm harvesting all your data. No way I let PDF give me a virus. Dude, let's go. Easiest win of my life. Okay. Focus on a latter claim on Liberation Day, April 2nd, 2025, when the administration announced increases in U.S. tariff rates that would take the average rate higher than under the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act in 1930. President Trump said jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country. And you see it happening already. We will supercharge our domestic industrial base. The president said the following on the 7th of January 2025. Will impose new tariffs to make so that the products on all our stores will once again be stamped with those beautiful words, "Made in the USA." Other prominent members of the Trump administration have made similar assertions. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Geer, for example, testified before the Senate Finance Committee in April. The president wants to see factories back here. The president and his advisors are going to be disappointed. This chapter argued that the tariff increases imposed by the current administration will not substantially increase U.S. manufacturing employment. Indeed, a trade war will likely result in a decrease. Will likely decrease the number of manufacturing jobs in the U.S. I will also argue that increasing manufacturing employment is not a particularly important or desirable goal, and that the protectionist impulse is predicated on incorrect judgments of economic trends for typical workers and households. It's kind of highlighting's a little janky, but you know what? Well, I'm good with that. That's fine. That's fine. It's better than the alternative. Okay. Tariffs won't increase manufacturing employment. Protectionists can appeal to intuitive economic logic. Tariffs are taxed on imported goods, but not on domestically produced goods. By increasing the relative price of imported goods, price-sensitive consumers will substitute away from imports. This will increase the competitiveness of domestic producers, in turn boosting the market demand for manufacturing labor services. Manufacturing employment and wages will therefore increase. Protecting domestic manufacturers from competition with imported goods, it is indeed a major part of the economic story. But two other factors are of first order importance. Because U.S. manufacturers import a good deal of what they need to produce final goods, tariffs are not just tax on consumption, they're also a tax on business investment. Taxing investment should reduce the competitiveness of domestic manufacturers, putting downward pressure on the demand for manufacturing labor services. In addition, though they are often discussed as static events, tariff increases should be thought of in a dynamic context. Other nations will retaliate, which will hurt domestic exporters and reduce the demand for manufactured workers. Crazy. Again, you also don't even need other countries to retaliate because exchange rates, tax on imports equal to tax on exports, linear symmetry theorem, and as such. Because of these completing effects, the impact of Trump's administration's trade war on manufacturing employment is ultimately an empirical question. Look at the import statistics should give protectionists an immediate pause. In each quarter of the years 2023 and 2024, between 54% and 56% of U.S. imports consisted of industrial supplies and materials, capital goods, and automotive engines and parts. Actually, I'm making this blue. Oh, fuck me. I hate Zotero. There we go. Or consider the case of steel. The administration's steel tariffs might help U.S. steel producers, but for every one job in steel production, there are 80 jobs in industries that use steel. Among others, U.S. manufacturers of household appliances, farm machinery, mining machinery, batteries, and hardware are steel intensive and will face higher production costs due to steel tariffs. And then, yeah, Cox 2018. I too have read Cox 2018. Beyond summary statistics and industry anecdotes, scientific evidence comes from rigorous studies of President Trump's first-term trade war. A comprehensive literature review is beyond the scope of this short chapter. Instead, I will highlight 3 papers that I find particularly relevant to current policy issues. Okay. He might cite Cox again. Okay, we're getting and then we're getting the Justin Pierce 2019. Okay, and then I'm trying to think, what would the third one be? Okay. Cox, Pierce, and one of the Peter fucking Flagellum Bottom. I always forget how I have no clue how to pronounce the dude's last name. Okay, that's my guess. Okay, we're getting one of his. Okay. Beyond summary statistics in the industry, okay, read that. Sorry. Each takes a different lens to study the manufacturing employment effects of the first trade war. Oh fuck! I did not even click on that. But I'm right. Sorry, I got excited because I'm right. Flynn and Pierce, forthcoming, conduct a, I actually haven't, I know their 2019 study, I think it was 2019, conducted an industry, or the title of the paper is like, I should know the title of the paper. I know the title of the paper. I know it's ingrained within me. It's like labor market effects of the 2019 steel tariffs or whatever. Disentangling here it is. Yeah. Conducting industry analysis and manufacturing employment. Arthur et al. 2024 analyzed local labor market effects, i.e. commuting zones, and damn it. Well, I got 1 out of 3. Analyzed local labor market effects, i.e. commuting zones, and Javerick et al. 2022 study labor demand. I might know this paper, but I don't know. Flynn and Pierce estimate the effect of the U.S. Tariff increases in 2018 and 2019 at manufacturing employment. The authors decompose the overall effect into 3 components described above: import protection. What the? Why can't I hear the if he had a Robux? I think I have it turned way down because Mark Zombie was spamming it.
I got his name, the fuck dude, and yeah, Floline.
Others decompose the overall effect into 3 components described above: import protection, higher input costs, and retaliation. They find that a shifting, detailed 4-digit NAICS industry from the 25th to 75th percentile of tariff exposure. Oh, what's up? Wait, how did you even get in here? What the fuck? Do you have streaming firms? Hello?
Low key, I should watch your streams before joining the VC. I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
I just got bored. I might just listen to whatever you're saying instead of giving you a view.
You could just. No, I'd prefer you give me the view. Is the thing, is giving me the view benefits me a lot more.
Okay, let's just act like I am, and then I'll still be in the VC for unrelated reasons.
No. I think you. I think I want the view. I think I want you to hit like on the YouTube stream and subscribe and drop Twitch Prime sub and exclamation point TTS in chat to donate.
I think I knew you had a YouTube and just never subscribed in the first place. Like I just screenshotted like one thumbnail and was like, look at this nerd. So I'll probably
No,
just
see-
do that.
Yeah, I prefer you. You gotta subscribe, obviously. Okay. Well,
Who
I'll
are
remove
the
you.
thousands of people following you? Who are these people? I didn't.
They're my goats. They're all the non-fawners, bro.
That sounds like a sexual term. Could be real. You need to find a better name.
The non-fans, the NGGers.
Political
I paid
person people.
for 1,000 bot channels to sub. I worked hard for my 1,300 YouTube subscribers, bro. I worked hard for each and every one of them.
You pulled a Casey Lee. I was
No.
I was in Casey Lee's chat and there was like 2 people and then all of a sudden it spiked to 100.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, just a huge raid that Twitch just made sure not to announce.
Yeah. It was a glitch. Didn't mention the raid. Yeah. Casey Unashamed. I've never view botted. I did in like my very early days do sub for sub on YouTube, but I never
For shame.
bot followers.
For shame.
It was only I think 345 ish fucking subs were sub for sub, and then most of them have unsubscribed by now anyway. So
This is the future Kane's wants.
it's true. That's true.
You sub for sub. Oh my goodness.
When I was like fucking 10 years old. Yeah.
Even worse. There was a 10-year-old non-fan of his iPad streaming on Twitch.
I don't even remember. The channel I have now used to be a group channel. It used to be called Universal 4. And I don't even remember what I uploaded to it. I remember my friends had a few uploads to it. I was just doing sub for sub. That's all I did for the channel. And then I stole it eventually. I don't know. I don't actually remember if I like stole it or if they gave me permission to steal it because they stopped doing it. But whatever the case, they stopped uploading, and I just kind of appropriated this channel for myself.
You turned it into a nerd fest, is what you did. You did.
I did.
Econ
Well, it took a while to
instead
get
of
to the
Fortnite.
Nerd Fest stuff because it used to be a gaming channel. If you look at my oldest videos on my YouTube channel, some of them are like gaming. I think the oldest one is Chuck E. Cheese Sings WAP. Yeah, the oldest one is Chuck E. Cheese Sings WAP, and then we have
Wait. Okay, that's content I want to see.
yeah, it's goated, bro. And then we have We Cannot Play Scribble.io, the Scribble.io video, and then Plants vs Zombies video, a Fish in Space video, and then Gumbo Gang. There's a Fortnite video. These old videos, and then I have I have a ton of gaming videos that are like unlisted and stuff. But
Holy shit, I just watched Chuck E. Cheese Sings WAP. Why haven't you made this more mainstream? This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
this is the best thing I've ever made. Yeah. And then Non-Fun hates gays in the 5th video. No, it was someone else who hated gays. I was arguing against hating gays. Don't worry. I'm gonna
Gang?
copy strike if I. Gumbo Gang's a good video. I love Gumbo Gang.
Tatter disagrees. Non-fun debate Zionist. Like, see, it went downhill ever since Gumbo Gang. Christian nationalist stuns. Chatter disagrees with non-fun Zionist. I'm not even reading the full title. I can only see a very few on mobile. It's still downhill. Give up now, non-fun. You peaked at Gumbo Games and Chuck E. Cheese sings WAP.
Gumbo Gang is like one of my more viewed videos, so I guess there's that. Dude, the most viewed video I have, the most viewed live stream is Yoshi screaming for 24 hours. This was some shit I stole. There was this channel that just had this animation of Yoshi screaming, and like every time he reached a subscriber count, he would add a new Yoshi to the screen, and then his thing got taken down because he stole the animation, and then I stole the animation but cropped most of it out, so I didn't get it taken down, and I got free views and free subscribers. I guess not that many subscribers. I went from 347 at the beginning of this 12-hour stream to 349 at the end. But yeah,
I'm looking at your most popular. Half of them look like almost like a Destiny YouTube channel, sorta. And then all of a sudden, it's like Chuck E. Cheese sings WAP. Greatest thing I've
my
ever seen.
My thumbnails are definitely Destiny clone thumbnails. And so is my intro sometimes, but
I respect it though. I noticed it immediately of like, oh, okay, so it's just Destiny rip off, but if you're ripping off him, who cares?
Rip off. Whoa, that's a little harsh.
Nah.
But yeah. To be fair, okay, half of politics YouTube thumbnails are just like people's faces with yellow and white text. Okay, that's the meta. But
yeah, I'm going to start like a collab stream on Rumble, and it's gonna be me and Vegan with like just loud music blaring. We just talk about our day.
Rumble, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be called Anarchy No Life. See, I can't rip off anything, but I'm not original as well. So, the non-fun fan group on Rumble TV is gonna be me and Vegan, and we're just gonna be talking about everything but politics, but still be in the politics channel.
Yes.
That's the meta. You got to understand. New meta on Rumble TV. We're going to be gambling, buying hookers, talking about our afternoons.
Goated.
I'm gonna talk down about the Shrimp Welfare Project and how they got to go full vegan.
No, unacceptable.
Project.
Unacceptable.
Absolutely. And then we're going to have like a white collar IRL stream where I just go to my job and like I show off my cubicle and my tie, my boss, and everything. It'll be so peak.
It would have to you'd have to have a poorly aimed camera angle where it kind of shows like your chest and you can kind of see your hands on the keyboard or whatever for the 8 hours you're there.
Truth, and it'll be like you can see kind of my cleavage through the
your
the necktie. This is the new meta, not fun. We're gonna be talking
right.
About politics at our cubicles.
Do you have chest hair, Game Boy?
I'm very masculine.
Okay, if you got chest hair, make sure some of it pops out the cleavage. That would definitely bring in more views.
I gotta get back to reading, guys. I don't know how much longer we need to talk about chest hair.
Well, I left your Twitch stream so I could be in voice chat with you here.
See, I need the Twitch views, actually. That's what I need is the Twitch views.
We were his only viewers. So, non-fun, if you don't want to hear us talking while you're reading, you can move to the waiting room. That's what I've been told, where you can wait and not hear people who are actually making content.
Ooh, average debate.
No, I think you need to. I think I'm gonna move you to the hangout room.
No. Don't get radical.
So you guys can.
We should bring Average Debate Enjoyer in here and then ask him his opinion on chest hair on a stream.
I
think
think
would it be a benefit?
Has perms to join, maybe.
Oh, by the way, non-fun. After you said great things about Fabian Liberty, I joined his Discord. I'm doing great things over there.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I mean, you probably do get along with the people in there.
No, I don't interact with him at all. The only thing I've ever said in there was, I sent, "Mommy assures you that the tariffs are making America great." Mommy ASMR.
Is that a real thing? I want to listen to that.
I will send it to you. So that's the only thing I've done. But I will say, I need to look up the non-fun Fabian Liberty goon chat. Like, I need to see those videos.
I've had 3. I think the first one we talked about tariffs a little bit. The second one I think we talked about healthcare. That might have been a third one.
Don't y'all agree on tariffs?
Yeah, basically.
I can't imagine that's interesting. So you don't like tariffs? Yeah, I don't like them because they're property rights. Oh, I don't like them because they're
kind of. I mean, we had a little bit. A lot of the conversation was about the value of empirical evidence, because like he's a big.
Oh yes,
he's an
Austrian. He's not going to view any value.
Where I was just like, a big reason why I don't like tariffs is that like we have all these studies that say they're bad, but yeah.
Yeah, I kind of don't have an opinion on that. I should probably, but I don't care about economics. That's why I don't watch econ streamers like Casey Lee or Nonfon.
Is Casey Lee an econ streamer? I don't know if he counts as that, bro. I don't know if I count as that, but
used to be, then kind of fell off with Israel, and then now it's just an it just says AI while his chat says stuff ban worthy. And I just let it go by because he doesn't read it. Like, his chat will be quoting new Kanye lyrics, and I'm just like, I'll let it fly, just because Casey's gonna look at his chat every hour or so. Like, the only message you see is like from 1 hour ago. Racial slur.
I think I gotta go.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, back to reading now, man. Hell yeah. Back to reading.
Hey, dude, what's if I were to start a stream and I put my webcam on to show my chest hair, do you think that would be like beneficial for overall views?
Probably. I don't think many people would be turned off by it, but there's probably at least 1 or 2 people out there that'd be turned on by it. So
I think what you got to do is get a little wig, and then go ahead and throw some of that hair out the top of your shirt that you have on right now, and then you'll be fucking set, dude.
Art, what's wrong, my precious little tangerine tyrant? Did the news upset you again?
Oh, also remember, chat. Okay, this is what we're fundraising for. 5 of these sweaters so I can wear them every day. Because we were talking about the Shrimp Welfare Project, which vegan hates for some reason. That's what we're fundraising for.
Was it the CPI report? Oh, darling, come rest your head on Mommy's Made in America bosom. No more tears. Mommy's here to explain everything.
Oh boy.
There's no need to fret, my little patriot pumpkin. The tariff.
Also, wait, Tyler, is this just a clip of him asking Iran's population?
How many people live in Iran, by the way? I don't know the population at all. No, I don't know the population. Why is that relevant? You don't know anything.
Which it is kind of crazy he doesn't know the population. But
tariffs are actually working thickly. They're not bad, baby. They're strong.
You give the old non-fun pop quiz. Do I give pop quiz? I gave pop quiz. I've given pop quizzes to like 3 people, and that's because they were like bragging about like owning a manufacturing company or whatever, and they didn't even know. They didn't even know like macro 101. But
tariffs are like Mommy's arms around the economy, firm, protective, a little smothering, maybe. But only because she cares. Look,
There's hair in my mouth.
honeybee, see this tag, sweetie? Made right here by strong American hands. That's what the tariffs do, my precious job creator. They protect our beautiful, beautiful workers like a big, strong, patriotic wall. A very fair wall. The best wall. Keeping the bad, cheap farm stuff.
Do a pop quiz right now. Which economist in 1936 proved that, or I think proved is a decent word, I think, that a tax on an ad valorem tax on imports is equivalent to an ad valorem tax on exports.
Out. So we can make our own slightly more expensive, but American stuff. I know, sweetie. I know those mean little citizens are complaining about losing their imported Funko Pops. But do you know what happens when we put a 25% tax on aluminium? That's right, sweetheart. Somewhere in Michigan, a hard-working Mexican tradcath conquistador gets his job back, and he goes home to his family with American...
And that's the only effect. Not fun already on main clipped. Oh, fuck. So at least get me asking a pop quiz. That's what we're fundraising for. Oh no! Oh no! You just went back to the start. Oh no! It's over.
Dignity in his lunchbox. You're hungry, Mr. President? Well, maybe Mommy's grocery bill did a little skyrocket. So just think of those rumblings as the sound of prosperity. It's a good rumble, a winning rumble. Those extra dollars aren't disappearing. They're floating up to help build beautiful new factories.
Oh
Somewhere.
my god. Oh, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it. She did not just misunderstand the balance of payment.
Probably. Look, I've got a chalky bar for my baby. It's a special treat. A true American chocolate bar. See how thick and rich the wrapper is. That's a high-quality American-made wrapper. It tastes a bit different now. It doesn't have real chocolate because of the tariff on Canada. But that means it's better for you. We're making America great again and healthy again in one fell swoop. And all those mean
Holy shit,
journalists
they
who
figured it out.
criticize the proportional and reciprocal tariffs won't be invited to your big birthday QAnon backshot blowout. Boy, will their faces be red.
When do I get
Aw,
the American-made
you're
breast
yawning.
milk?
Are you getting sleepy? That's the feeling of economic security washing over you. Like a warm Keynesian shower of gold. You're doing so well, Pumpkin. Dream of winning. So much winning. We're gonna get tired of winning, remember? But it's a good tired. A patriotic tired. Just like how Mommy gets tired explaining why everything costs more. But it's fine. It's great. Really, the best. Now just repeat after Mommy. I am putting America first. My labor matters. Tariffs are hugs for industries. Mommy will hold the line, Patriot. Good night, my sweet little MAGA muffin.
Okay. Breast milk is vegan? I mean, I guess if you get it consensually, I don't see why it wouldn't be. When do I get the American-made breast milk? Non-fun June 18. I didn't say that. I didn't say. I don't know what you're talking about. I've been reading this whole time. Game Boy clip him? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. I wanna do that. That's deep fake. That's a deep fake. Bro, to clarify, he doesn't get his breast milk on consensually. No, I did not. That's not true. That's not true. What I was saying is vegan said breast milk is vegan, and I was like, I guess if you get breast milk consensually, it's vegan. All right, that's all I had. That's all I was saying. A wordle. Error. Okay. Awesome. Bro, don't spoil it. Just don't watch. Oh, I can't. I guess I can do boobs. Breast is 6 words. get that shit off screen. Just don't look at the screen. I guess I can do penis. One new mention. Is it going to be you telling me not to show it on stream? Oh, you lost to viewer. Yeah, I lost to viewer because I can't be cheating at Wordle. I won't fucking play Wordle then. Or no. Well, if he already left. Comic. Okay. C H O I C. Is there any word from this? Choil? Is that a word? C R. Wait, it's got to be C O. Unless the O is at the end, but I don't think that really makes sense. B I K. This is a word. Kobic. Co. F I K. Cofib. There's no B, right? I haven't tried B yet. Is this a word? Leaving stream due to Wordle. Damn. Is this the fucking breast milk? When do I get the American-made breast milk? Okay, good. It's not the me being horny on the ASMR video. Oh wait, no, it's not co. Sorry, I'm stupid. It's gotta be. Always gotta be at the end. What the fuck? CR UI. Huh. I'm thinking. It's got to be either. Are there any? I don't know if there's any words that are that I see and then UI. So it's got to be like there's got to be like a vowel. Cubic. Okay. Oh, it couldn't have been cubic anyway because it's C, but whatever. Fuck. It's gonna be obvious once I fucking get it too. God damn this shit. F I D. I'm throwing so hard right now. God, it's gonna be so obvious once I fucking know it. Could be ID, FID, Cuffid, Kugid. Cut it. Cut it. Cuff it.
What are you doing? Why are you still
Wow,
peeing?
thanks, Game Boy. Did you get it?
Magna!
Did you get it already? Fuck! I'm throwing so hard right now.
What?
God, I know it. I know I'm gonna fucking know it once I.
Oh my god. Magna.
It can't be I. Why can't it? I don't know any words that end in IY that come to mind, at least, or that fit here. What am I not fucking seeing? Oh my god, I'm gonna I got it pretty early, but I think we have different ones. No, we don't have different ones. What? It's the same one every day. Or for everyone, like every day it's the same one for everyone. It's just a different word every day. I'm gonna try in every fucking letter. What am I fucking not? My word started with an M? You making stuff up. You might have had it yesterday. You might be doing yesterday somehow. I'm in Texas, so probably, yeah. Fuck. God! I'm gonna know it. It's gonna be so obvious when I get it. But I literally cannot think of any fucking words that. GIR, GIT, GIG, GIF. It's a made-up word. I changed my mind. I'm not gonna know it because it's a made-up word. What's a word I can try that just has a lot of letters in it, and then I can get it on the last one? Oh wait, it's got to be O at the end, but that doesn't fucking help, does it? Hold on. CUGIO. FIO. KIO. YIO. Audio? Yeah, there's no. Yeah, there's no. That doesn't really. That doesn't help much. Hold on, it's literally just. It's just not a word I've heard of. I figured it out. I just gotta try every every letter. What does that word mean? Yeah, it's a fake word. Okay. Okay, where were we? I read that. Okay. They separate into three. Non-fawn are you more of a macro or micro penis type of guy? What do you mean by that? Like in terms of what I have, in terms of what I give your mother every night, or okay. Decompose the overall effect into three components described above. Import protection, high input cost, and retaliation. They find shifting a detailed 4-digit industry from the 25th to 70th percentile tariff exposure was associated with a 0.4% increase in employment due to import protection, a 2 percentage point decrease in employment due to higher input costs, and a 1.1% decrease in employment due to retaliation. On net, they find that moving from the 25th to 71st percentile of exposure reduced employment by 2.7%. They also provide evidence that lower rates of job creation is the main mechanism by which manufacturing employment it fell in response to the 2018 to 2019 tariffs. Let me just do that. Arthur et al. 2024 studied the effects of the 2018 and 2019 tariffs on local labor markets. Their analytical design separately considers the employment effects of U.S. import tariffs and foreign retaliatory tariffs. They do not find a positive employment effect from U.S. import tariffs, but consistently find negative employment effects in response to foreign retaliatory tariffs. They also find that the agricultural subsidies the administration put in place to counteract the retaliatory tariffs did little to compensate the damage done to agricultural employment. Javerick et al. Studied the effects of the 2018 tariff increase on online job postings, which are a measure of labor demand. They do not find that exposure to import protection increased labor demand. They do find that local labor markets' exposure to tariff-driven higher intermediate input costs and foreign export tariffs both led to declines in labor demand. In addition, they find that relative labor market declines were larger for vacancies aimed at workers with relatively lower skill levels. There are two reasons why the specific trade war will not lead to a revival of U.S. manufacturing employment. The first is now the time. The president may not be able to enact tariffs with a stroke of a pen, but building factories, may be able to do a stroke of a pen, but building factories, whether for cars, drugs, clean energy, semiconductors, takes several years. The second and more important reason is policy uncertainty. Businesses are unlikely to commit to expensive multi-year manufacturing investment in the current policy environment, which is characterized by unclear policy goals, incompetent execution, and sudden policy reversals and changes, and a chaotic atmosphere. As they wrote in a recent commentary, given the U.S. producers rely heavily on imported intermediate goods, wild swings in tariffs are hugely destabilizing. When firms can't forecast their costs, they can't determine which investments are likely to generate profit. Why to focus on manufacturing jobs? Tariffs are unlikely to increase manufacturing employment as an empirical matter, but more fundamentally, invoking manufacturing employment declines as a justification for protectionism fundamentally misunderstands the root cause of employment dynamics. Manufacturing employment as a share of total non-farm employment has been declining since the end of World War II because manufacturing productivity has been increasing over that period. The main driver of manufacturing employment declines has been technological progress, not international trade. What? That's crazy. That's crazy, dog. Figure 1 clearly illustrates declining manufacturing employment well before China's accession to the WTO in 2001 or North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, coming into effect in 1994. If protectionists really wish to boost manufacturing employment, then they should be arguing for reducing manufacturing productivity, not imports. Why should manufacturing employment receive so much attention? Protectionists often cite the quality of manufacturing jobs relative to service sector jobs, the need for strong domestic manufacturing capacity, and the resilience and safety concerns. But these concerns are either misplaced or will be aggravated, not ameliorated, by the current trade war. Supporters of protectionism often tout the quality of manufacturing jobs, but the average wage in a manufacturing job has been lower than the average wages in service sector jobs since 2018. Manufacturing jobs are often more dangerous and less pleasant than service jobs, and if the current administration succeeds in transferring low-wage, low-value-add manufacturing jobs from other countries to the U.S., then the average U.S. manufacturing wage will decrease. Some supporters of protectionism seem to think that because manufacturing employment has been declining for decades, the U.S.'s ability to produce things has also been declining. Indeed, the assertion that the U.S. doesn't make anything anymore is as common as it is incorrect. The U.S. does not need to adopt protectionist policies to say nothing of starting a severe global trade war to create capacity to produce goods. It already has the capacity. U.S. industrial output reached its post-World War II high in February 2025. It is true that the growth of the industrial output substantially slowed following the 2008 financial crisis, but the level of industrial output today is higher than it was prior to China's 2001 accession to the WTO. Industrial output was higher in 2001 than in 1994 when NAFTA came into effect. As shown in Figure 2, industrial output was higher in 1994 than any earlier year. The U.S. is not just producing more than ever relative to other nations. It is a global manufacturing powerhouse. As shown in Figure 3, the U.S. produces more manufacturing output than any nation except China. And in third place is a distant third. It is important to note China overtook the U.S. because it ramped up production, not because the U.S. began producing less. It may or may not be. It may or may not be important for the U.S. to have a robust manufacturing sector. One could reasonably argue that all that matters for the U.S. is to have strong alliances with trading partners, which trade partners in which the goods Americans wish to consume are produced. But even economists who hold that view might grant exceptions for a small number of critical goods like semiconductors or certain pharmaceuticals. The disruption during COVID-19 pandemic arguably exposed the need for greater resilience in supply chains. And escalating geopolitical tensions highlight the relationship between imports and national security. The right way to address the resilience and security considerations is to take a judicious approach in targeting a narrow set of products and technologies that clearly warrant intervention, and to pursue that intervention in a concrete in concert with a broad coalition of allies. If done properly, policymakers would take great care to not conflate economic security goals with domestic or political considerations like trends in manufacturing and employment. Contrast that approach with the Trump administration. It's hard to think of a better way to exacerbate supply chain disruptions in a sudden, severe global trade war, and America is clearly less safe because of the president's trade war. Trade deficits and tax revenue. The subject of this chapter is manufacturing, but permit me a few sentences to discuss some of the other ways in which tariffs are justified. In addition to manufacturing consideration, the other major justification for the trade war is concern about the trade deficit, but the president is wrong to assert the trade deficit is a problem. Trade deficit offers consumers a great variety. Yeah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm aware. Manufacturing, president argues tariffs increase tax revenue. Tariffs are product tax-based investment, which result in lower productivity and lower wages. Actually comes to tax will be far superior. What? That's crazy. In addition, raising tax revenue tariffs is constitutionally improper. As they wrote in a recent commentary, for the president to attempt to unilaterally raise taxes by hundreds of $1 billion per year is an aggressive, egregious assault on a constitutional system of government. That's crazy. As for extracting concession from other nations around a host of issues, fentanyl, illegal drugs, the president's tariffs may in some cases prove somewhat effective, but at such a high cost with no success to his two main objectives, this would be small consolation. False premises. The twin foundations of today's protectionist impulse seem to be the view that economic outcomes for typical workers and households have been stagnant or deteriorating for decades, and relatedly, that the U.S.'s decision to grant China permanent normal trade relations in China's 2001 ascension to the WTO were major policy errors that devastated the working class. Both of these views are mistaken. The first crack-ridden foundation of this trade war is the mistaken view that economic outcomes for typical workers and households have stagnated or deteriorated for the past several decades. As I argue in my book, The American Dream is Not Dead, but Populism Could Kill It, this view is at odds with the best reading economic evidence. Figure 4 clearly shows that real wages for production and non-supervisory workers were stagnant or declining during the 70s and 80s, but that the U.S. left that period over 3 decades ago. Since the early 1990s, real wages for typical workers have been steadily rising. That's crazy. There's not been a period of uninterrupted progress. See, for example, the stagnation following the 2008 financial crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic, and the pace of wage growth should not lead to complacency. But from July 1990 to February 2025, the latest data available at the time of writing, the purchasing power of the average wage of workers, specifically the production workers in manufacturing sector, construction workers in construction sector, and non-supervisory workers in service sector, has increased by 44%. This is a substantial increase in average real wages. There is no doubt that the middle of the labor market has been hollowed out in recent decades, with employment growth concentrated among low and high wage jobs. But this disruption has been driven mostly by technological progress, not by trade. And the disruption of these decades has been mostly story upward economic mobility. The share of households earning real incomes to be blah blah. I know the statistic. This is from. It might be actually from his book, but all I think he cites his own book here, but Cato has an article about that too, where they cite the exact same statistic. Share households earning real incomes measured in $2023 between $35,000 and $100,000, a proxy for middle income, fell by 16% from 1967 to 2023, but this was not accompanied by an increase in the share of households earning less than $35,000, which fell by 10%. Instead, the share of households earning real incomes above $100,000 grew by 26.5% over this period. In addition, a new middle is forming in the labor market. Manufacturing jobs and clerical jobs may be shrinking as a share of total employment, but a new middle is rising with occupations including sales representatives, truck drivers, managers and personal service workers, heating and air conditioning mechanics and installers, computer support specialists, self-enrichment education teachers, event planners, and health technologists and technicians. Second argument, serving as a faulty foundation for trade wars that China's 2000 permanent PNTR status and 2001 WTO entry with major policy errors with devastating consequences, misunderstands both history and economics. China had most favored nation status renewed annually with the U.S. since 1980, which meant that it faced similar U.S. trade barriers to other nations during the 2 decades prior to its WTO entry. While the elimination of trade policy uncertainty that accompanied the developments of 2000 and 2001 did play a role in increasing Chinese exports to the U.S., that role is overstated in the policy debate. It ignores the huge increase in imports from China during the 1980s and 1990s. Indeed, the decade prior to China receiving PNTR, and U.S. imports from China in current dollars increased by nearly a factor of 7. China's booming export capacity had much to do with its own internal economic reforms, not changes in U.S. policies. On the economics, it is of course true that trade liberalization, including the China shock, contributed to manufacturing job losses. Arthur et al. Find that average reduction in manufacturing employment of 90,000 jobs per year from 1990 to 2007. Lace Moglo et al. Find an average reduction of manufacturing employment of 200,000. Why are we talking in absolute numbers and not percentages? None of these are the majority of manufacturing jobs. Why doesn't it let me click back? But there are two important considerations in interpreting those estimates and applying them to real-world issues. First, they may be placed in the context of broader economic dynamism. Second, they fail to account for export-driven manufacturing job gains. The following 5 paragraphs associated footnotes discuss these issues, and most of the text in those paragraphs is directly taken from his other fucking book. Okay. In a typical month, 5 million workers separate from their employers. In manufacturing sector, typical monthly separations is 351,000. 200,000 jobs per year sounds like a lot, but in the context of U.S. labor market dynamism, it feels less apocalyptic than today's political rhetoric implies. Okay, I guess I'll take this then. Moreover, Arthur et al. And Ace Moglo focus on half the story of increased trade openness. Trade liberalization associated with increased imports and exports. Economic theory suggests that employment reductions in sectors exposed to import competition should be roughly balanced by employment increases in export-intensive services in other sectors. Export-intensive sectors in other sectors. Fenston et al. 2019 note that the literature on the China shock is focused on the impact of that surging imports from China have had on job losses, while little attention paid to the job gains from growing exports. They expand Ace Mogul et al.'s framework to incorporate not only U.S. imports from China, but also imports from the rest of the world, exports to China, and exports to the rest of the world. In their preferred specification, they estimate that at the industry level, a 1 percentage point rise in import penetration from China reduces industry employment by 0.81 percentage points. This estimate is very similar in magnitude to the findings of Ace Mogul, but when they study the effects of trade more broadly, they find that job losses identified by Ace Mogul and Ella are fully offset by job gains used to U.S. exports. So I added due to U.S. exports. Specifically, in their preferred selection, they find job losses of 532,000 due to import competitions between 1999 and 2011. These losses were offset by job gains of 411,000 due to exports. Since export-driven gains were greater than import-driven losses during the 1990s, the entire 1991 to 2011 period, they found a net gain of 379,000 jobs. Sorry, what? Job losses of 533,000 due to import competition. Offset by job gains, 441,000 due to exports. Did he swap these or something? What lesson, then, should economists and policymakers take away from the China shock? It is the case that domestic economic effects of trade with China intensified around the turn of the century, leaving some people in places behind. The following 3 paragraphs, taken from his other fucking book, discuss 2 important lessons. First, the labor market is less fluid than many economists had thought, and it is harder for workers specialized in one sector with declining opportunities in the case of trade in competing sectors to reallocate to other sectors with expanding opportunities. The second lesson is that workers may be less willing to relocate from regions with declining opportunities to regions with expanding opportunities than many economists had thought. These generalizable lessons apply to labor market disruptions broadly, regardless of the source of the disruption. For example, the development of generative artificial intelligence raced forward in 2023 and portends substantial labor market disruption. The energy transition away from fossil fuels could create a similar situation similar in kind to the China shock, given geographic concentration of that industry. These lessons from the China shock will apply to AI and the energy transition. Other lessons from the China shock are important for understanding the episode, but maybe a limited generalizability. China's export growth is rapid, with its share of world manufacturing exports rising from 3% in 1995 to 18% in 2014 to 21% in 2020. And the reallocation of workers across sectors was likely severely adversely affected by the 2008 global financial crisis and a Great Recession, in which U.S. Unemployment rate peaked at 10%, and there were as many as 6 unemployed workers for every 1 job opening in the labor market. To the extent that adverse effects on import competing workers created Keynesian aggregate demand reductions, post-2007 economic slack was a major contributor. Hold on, okay. Oh, okay. Like during the 1990s, which isn't measured in that. Okay. Bro, who's messaging me? Conclusion. Regarding the trade war in manufacturing, the 2 most important conclusions are as follows. First, the current administration's trade war is founded on deeply flawed analysis of U.S. economic challenges. American manufacturing is not in crisis, and open trade has not been the most important driver to declining manufacturing employment. From an economic perspective, how many times have I said this exact line in a fucking debate? From an economic perspective, manufacturing jobs do not deserve special attention. Second, and from a political perspective, perhaps most importantly, the trade war will not substantially increase manufacturing employment. Indeed, it is likely to decrease manufacturing employment. It will fail to achieve its wrong-headed goal. Protectionists are motivated by misplaced nostalgia for an imagined past. They are trying to turn back the clock. They will not succeed. A better and achievable goal would be to create more on-ramps for economic opportunities at the present and the future. Wow, crazy. Can I link? Like there's kind of a way to do it if I open Zotero in my browser. How do I open it? How do I know I can do it by doing this, but that's kind of annoying to do. Unless, is there like a just open in Zotero option here? Should have a button to like open it in the app, but I don't know. Anyway, okay, I do want to read this, and then probably done for today. And then I'll stream tomorrow when we debate, which will be fun. So fun. I don't know how much I'm going to agree with this. We'll see. Those who oppose American involvement in Iran often cite the Iraq War, and their telling in this narrative is believed by much of the educated public. There was a group of neocons who fantasized about bringing democracy to the Middle East, went to war on the basis without knowing anything about the region, and brought the U.S. into a quagmire. As I explained in my first book, this story isn't true. The people in the American government who pushed for war of Iraq were, before Saddam was deposed, uninterested in nation building and wanted to get out relatively quickly. Nonetheless, citing Iraq has become a stand-in for the idea that you should never try to overthrow a foreign state, regardless of the circumstances. Well, how do I pronounce this? Fuck. Google doesn't give me a pronunciation thing.
Cavalier.
Cavalierly going around the world, knocking off governments, can't be the right approach. The idea that existing regimes should continue forever, no matter how brutal to their own people and threatening to the world, also cannot be the answer. Such a rule would never have allowed the Soviet Union to collapse. In response to the charges that those in favor of regime change are leading us into another Iraq, one could point to North Korea as an example of what happens when an evil regime is allowed to exist indefinitely and has armed itself with nuclear weapons. I don't think you have to do regime change in Iraq just to like strike their nuclear facilities. Like I was talking with JC about this earlier. The problem is I don't have a good mechanism for like assigning probabilities to like if the U.S. did do like a bunker busting bomb on their like nuclear enrichment facility shit. Like I don't know how to assign probabilities to like the classic Iran nothing burger response versus like. We get some fucking mutual defense pact for Iran gets some like mutual defense pact for China, or like Iran starts fucking. I don't know what exactly they would do to us just because they're so far away, and like if they like full on declared war on us, like what the fuck are they gonna? I don't know what they have the capacity to do. Like they can hit Israel, I guess, but I just don't know how to assign probability of that, and I don't know what the like actual big risk is for the U.S. But in response to charges, read that, it is an impoverished nation of 26 million people without any semblance to individual freedom, and little reason to believe that things will ever get better as long as the current government is in power. Civil war will clearly be an improvement over the current North Korean regime, as there would be some hope of a better future. Iran is not Libya, Afghanistan, or Iraq. It has a history of parliamentary democracy that goes back over a century, and even countries in a certain form even continues in a certain form to this day under the current regime. Moreover, you can tell something about a society under dictatorship by looking at what the government fears potentially overthrowing it. Saddam was obsessed with fending off Sunni and Shia Islamists. He was worried about Wahhabist ideology and therefore tried to co-opt aspects of it late in his regime, and also faced constant threat from Shia extremists with ideological and organizational links to Iran. Aside from the Kurds, there was no democratic or broadly liberal movement in Iraq to speak of before the U.S. arrived in 2003. Iranians, in contrast, regularly go to the streets in the name of liberalism. Their protests are not marginal. In 2009, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, marched under the banner of the Green Movement, demanding fair elections and civil rights. Thousands were imprisoned, and perhaps hundreds were killed. In 2017 and 2018, 2019, especially in 2022, following the death of Masha Amini, demonstrations erupted across the country, cutting across class, geography, and gender lines. The number of dead was over 1,000 in the 2019 riots. The 2022 protests were among the most sustained since the Islamic Revolution, with schoolgirls, oil workers, and ethnic minorities all participating. These were not fringe disturbances, but widespread, nationally coordinated acts of defiance that shook the regime's confidence. The Islamic Republic deploys riot police, in and out blackouts, and mass arrest, not to defend against foreign agents or religious extremists, but its own citizens demanding freedom. By 2022, the regime had to arrest nearly 20,000 people in order to reestablish control. Still, the mullahs have had to accommodate popular sentiments. The government has scaled back enforcement of laws that on what women can wear, understanding the risk involved in being too strict in this area. As one Iranian vice president told Davos in January, if you go to the streets of Tehran, you will find women not wearing and not covering their hair. It's against the law. The government has decided not to put women under pressure. In 2020, it told a journalist for The Intercept that any attempt at overthrowing the Iranian government was bound to work out badly because the former regime elements would be best positioned to organize in the case of civil war. This is still true, and Islamists do not simply go away once the regime falls. That said, since that time, we've learned that some Iranians are willing to fight and die to be rid of their current government, and also seeing what appears to be relatively positive results in Syria, albeit after much heartache and bloodshed. Ukraine has similarly taught the lesson that modern people are still sometimes willing to fight and die on a mass scale in the name of freedom, a proposition that I used to doubt. No outcome would be guaranteed in the Iranian civil war, but the U.S. could once again play the role of the Hegelian hammer. We don't put troops in the ground or try to nation build, which was the real original sin of Iraq. Rather, through bombs and financial pressure, we tilt the playing field towards the types of actors we want to win. There will be factions who want to live in peace with Israel, adopt the market economy, and let women wear what they want. Those should be our allies. Well, those on the other side of these issues should exist in a state of constant fear for their lives, never able to accumulate stockpiles of weapons, and always worried that an American drone or Israeli car bomb might find them. Hopefully, those who respect women and Jews would eventually come out on top. There should be no illusion that former elements of the regime and the ideology that currently sustain it will just melt away. We would be going into a civil war. It's going in knowing that a civil war is like the outcome, but that sometimes civil wars are worth it. In the end, something like this strategy eventually worked in Syria, where the U.S. both stopped the Assad regime from crushing its opponents and also made sure that Islamists would not take over the country. We didn't have natural allies anywhere except among the Kurds, but stumbled towards a policy that ultimately helped ensure that a relatively tolerant leader would come to power due to the fact that we consistently oppose actors that we found unacceptable. Iran has much better chances in Syria, as it did, of moving towards democratic capitalism, and we should be able to get to the... What the fuck is my family doing upstairs? I can hear someone jumping. Get to end results with a lot less bloodshed. Unlike its Arab neighbors, Iran has a history of democratic institutions with a significant portion of its population inclined towards liberalism and even showing willingness to take some personal risk in the name of freedom. The idea that the U.S. will have to send in ground troops to deal with the aftermath of the regime changes is simply a fantasy cooked up by those who oppose intervention on principle. We watch countries descend into civil war without deploying our own soldiers all the time, even when we're responsible for starting or intensifying a conflict, as we were the case in Libya, and to a lesser extent Syria. Bombing Iran presents an opportunity to remove a destabilizing force in the world and add a large and educated country to the club of civilized nations, all with little risk to Americans' lives. We should take it. I'm very curious. For a long time since I've read anything so foolish. Your argument is North Korea would certainly be better at civil war. I can be sure of that. Regime change without chaotic civil war is possible. You, David Froman, and war cheerleaders espouse poison but do not bear any consequences for your idea. Holy, what the actual hell? Are we getting fucking robbed, dude? Oh wait, hold on. Can I play Tradle yet? Fuck you. I can play the new Pick 5 though. Okay, never mind, I can't. They probably are on a different time zone than I am. Or updated on a different time zone. Yeah, okay. Follow the Instagram if you guys aren't already, because my fucking yearly Instagram post is up, okay? So you guys can go like that. And then subscribe if you haven't, because that's cool. I like when you guys subscribe. Yeah, I love streaming. Love that you guys watch me stream. I will be streaming again tomorrow for that for the typical Thursday Gibbs panel, and then on Friday, presumably I'm going to be on a horseradish panel. I don't know for sure, I guess, but that's typically what happens. So that's that. And then I don't know what I have planned for the rest of the week. Yeah, I'm gonna read a little bit off stream probably for tomorrow, and then although I don't know what there is to read even. I have to edit. But I've been lazy. I don't want to edit. I hate editing. Where is my Temu kid editor who works for 5 cents an hour? That's what I need. Okay. I will see you guys tomorrow. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the Gibbs panel and on Friday for the horseradish panel, as we do every week. And I will see you guys later. Yeah, love streaming. Love you guys watch the stream. Good night, Ricky. Appreciate all you stopping by. Subscribe if you haven't.